What's good, y'all? That was awesome. It's about as happy as you can possibly be after a loss to LeBron. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted this one. I wanted this one because LeBron James on his IG prior to the game showed up in a scream mask with the LeBronto title. And I was like, man, I want Jonathan Mogbo to shut him down. Jonathan Mogbo does not start. The Toronto Raptors are sleepwalking to start, and they get down huge in the first quarter. We're going to do the entire film breakdown of this game. We're going to cover how Gradey got so open and how wonderful it is to say to you that Gradey Dick has not only broken his career high once this season, twice this season, but he has broken it for the third time this season. 31 points for Gradey Dick and 33 points for RJ Barrett, who looked very, very comfortable. I got to tell you, RJ Barrett has surprised me this year. He looks like what he was in New York, what he was last year, what he was in Canada, what he is for Toronto this year. Small sample size, 3 games. But in 3 games, he's averaging damn near 30 points per game. And I got to tell you, he's much better than he was for Team Canada. And he's competing a little bit defensively. He's still a little over leveraged. Yes, of course. You know, he's not a great defender, but he's trying. He's competing. The Toronto Raptors had a lot of late gaffes. But I got to tell you, in that second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, they won this game. You wipe out the 22-point deficit in the first quarter, beginning of the second, and you really start to see the vision for this team. Now, you can say there's no moral victories, Rob. I understand that. There's no moral victories. By the way, call-in link is in the description. If you'd like to call in, we can have a conversation about this game right after the film breakdown and the game analysis. Let's talk about this game because, you know, it didn't start out so well. And you're going to see that in the film, how it didn't start out so well, because the Raptors made a lot of cataclysmic mistakes defensively. Darko Rajakovic had to call a timeout 73 seconds into the game. He burned so many timeouts in that first quarter just to get his team going. This has been a bit of a recurring theme with the Raptors going right back to last season. They sometimes just don't come out ready to play. But thankfully, whatever was said at halftime, whatever was said at the beginning of that second quarter, they did play a lot better through the rest of the game. So in terms of who did what tonight, Jakob Poeltl with another double-double, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. That was cool. Okay, Davion Mitchell with 10 points, 5 assists. He hit both his threes in the fourth quarter, had his final drive. He was sitting at 2 points for a really long time, and he was a really big part of some of the issues for Toronto, but kudos to him for closing this game out well in the fourth quarter. Ochai Agbaji kind of came back down to earth a little bit, shooting variance on the 3-point shooting, 0 for 3 tonight. Gradey Dick was explosive. He took 26 shots, man. That's freaking awesome. I mean, he didn't get to the line a single time. He's been getting to the line a little bit more this year, but he got 7 rebounds. He hasn't been rebounding super well this year, but 31 points. And some of the shots that he took were so awesome. Recruiter dude with the super chat here. Fun fact, with the exception of the home opener, Raps have covered the point spread in every game. That is true. You are correct. We're not a gambling channel, but it is worth noting that the Raptors were 8.5-point underdogs tonight, and they lose by 6. So yes, it has actually been a trend. The Raptors are better. The homie Knecht. I think that we can absolutely, we absolutely are in the moral victory stage this year, Rob. If there ever was a season where competitive development losses against good teams are something to enjoy, then this is it. Yes. Well, there was a lot to take away from today's game. Okay, so let's talk about it because there's one very interesting development. A lot of my film breakdown is going to focus on Jacoby Walters. I was very high on him, all the last 2-3 months as he wasn't playing, in preseason. I kept saying, wait for this kid, wait for this kid. He shoots 1 for 8 tonight. And if you're, maybe a fan who's like, hey, Rob, you were bigging this guy up 1 for 8. You didn't watch this game. He was a plus. Like in a game you lost, he was absolutely a +7. And I'm telling you right now, they tell you not to read into plus minus. He changed the DNA of this game. He led the Raptors in plus minus. He was all over the place. He was on the glass. He was providing spacing that you otherwise were not getting from your other players. I don't know how the scouting report is out on this guy, but the scouting report is out on him. Stay connected on the perimeter. It opened up all sorts of angles. And if you want any evidence to how much Darko Rajakovic trusts Jacoby Walter, not only probably as a free throw shooter, but also as a spacer, also as a decision maker and a defender, despite being, probably 190 pounds, 95 pounds dripping wet. He put him into the game. He was at the scorer's table with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. And yeah, it wasn't exactly going to fold for the Raptors unless the Lakers had a cataclysmic breakdown. But you have to admit, it's pretty impressive for a rookie to be getting closing minutes. He was on the floor when the Raptors closed the curtain on this game and the Lakers walked away with a victory. But I do think that it was an impressive game, and we're going to look at it because, yes, he only made that one basket, but he got to the line 3 times. He had 6 rebounds off the bench. He was really just smart moving off the ball. And trust me, he's a little bit nervous right now, but he's going to make those shots. He's a great shooter. Take it from, someone who's watched a ton of his tape from Link and Baylor over the last few months. I'm telling you, this guy is going to be so good for the Raptors. And if you wanted any evidence, is Jonathan Mogbo for real? Yeah, he's for real. Tonight, 21 minutes off the bench, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Pretty much a consistent right now, right? He's pretty much winning his minutes. Chris Boucher, a negative 13 and 14 minutes. And that first stint for Chris Boucher was brutal. He was on the court for the worst stretch of the first quarter, in my opinion. He was the first guy off the bench, and I think he absolutely didn't help. But in the second half, I thought he was a little bit better. Anyone else? Anyone else? No. Let's talk about the Lakers, and we'll talk to the team stats. 38 points for Anthony Davis. You could have pegged this like from a mile away. Okay, you got the backup big for the Charlotte Hornets carving you up for 24 and 14. Obviously, Anthony Davis, who's pretty much on an MVP campaign right now, is going to carve you up. He had probably the easiest 38 points of his life. So much of it was open. He didn't have to work for it at all. He got cross-matched onto guards very often. The Raptors were reluctant to switch, and I just thought it was way too easy for him tonight. But the Raptors made it hell for the shooters, right? Austin Reeves had a tough night, 0 for 6 from 3. He got to the line 14 times, though. Make sense. 4 for 13 overall, 20 points. So decent game overall, but you held him pretty inefficient, and you closed out to him at the one place where he is dominant, which is the 3-point line. And Dalton Knecht off the bench, 19 points, 19 minutes of 5 points. So the bench did not do them any favors. I do think this bench is a little bit better, but if you recall my coverage on Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino last year, I am not a fan of these players. So I am a little bit concerned about how thin the Lakers are behind their starting 5. And I'm not really that sure about Rui Hachimura, who tonight was 3 for 12. I don't think he made a lot of great decisions. He had one of those baskets on Jamal Shead when he was under the basket for nearly 11 seconds in the game. We're going to take a look at that play and many others. D'Angelo Russell hit a really big 3 late, but 19 points for him, 7 for 13, relatively efficient game. D'Lo, you live with that. All right, let's take a look at the team stats. And my replacement XLR is on the way. So if there's a slight hissing for anyone listening with like really good headphones, I apologize. Hopefully it goes away at some point, but I can't do anything about it right now. Okay, the Raptors win the possession battle by a lot. Like they took so many more shots than the Lakers, which is just crazy. And a lot of that just had to do with how many offensive rebounds they got. But it's insane. 107 shots attempted versus 88. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that the Lakers lived at the line tonight and the Raptors could not get to the line. The Lakers took 41 free throws versus 13. It reminds me of the stat that the Lakers always win the free throw margin. This is historically, and I think, this is like going back like 25 years. I was looking at the data at some point, and it is really Dub's bestie. A salute from the PC community over here. Dub's bestie. Are the Cavs fool's gold? Hell no. No. They're legit. They're legit. I trust the Cavs to be a sneaky Eastern Conference Finals team for sure. James saying if RJ can improve his defense, he's a keeper. For sure. For sure. Like if he can improve his defense, we've always said that. If he can improve his shooting and defense, he's a completely different player. All right. So let's see here. The Raptors cross the 30 assist mark, which was great. The Raptors lose the 3-point shooting battle again. I'm not surprised once again, but they hold the Lakers to 34%, which is pretty decent. That's how they closed the gap. The Lakers went ice cold. And again, it's just a free throw differential, really. At the end of the day, the Lakers lived at the line tonight. The Raptors couldn't buy. And that wasn't due to a lack of driving. Like the Raptors had a lot of contacts in some of those drives, but could have been more assertive for sure. All right, let's take a look at some of the film breakdown, and then we'll get to callers. So if you want to call in, definitely call in. Link is in the description below, but let's take a look at some of these plays because there's a lot to break down in this game. Also, I do want to say I was not thrilled about the crowd giving a standing ovation or Bronny chants at the end. Y'all have some respect. I don't give a shit. Like, I really don't. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is a cultural moment. This is a historic moment. I get it. That's cool. I don't personally care, but I don't really think that that's okay. Unless, of course, you're going to tell me that basically every single person who attended tonight was one of those LeBron super fans. But like, geez, like what's wrong with y'all? He's like, I don't get it. Like if he was your own player, I get it completely. But like, bro, for the other team, just because he's LeBron's son, like, I don't get it. Anyways, big moment here for Jonathan Mogbo, who was 9 years old when LeBron James came to Miami. Not one, not two, never mind. Okay. And tonight he got to face LeBron, and LeBron, had a moment on him where Jonathan was connected, and LeBron did some shifty shit to get a free throw. So that was cool. First play. This is the play that caused the Raptors to call a timeout. Man, this buzzing is bothering me so bad. I'm so sorry, guys. If there's a buzz here, I really apologize to you guys. Let me try to turn my mic down a little bit. Shit, it's driving me crazy. All right. So this is the play here where you see Jakob Poeltl just a little late to react, wide open, and this was the first timeout, and Anthony Davis just never had an easier shot in his life. Daryl saying no buzz for me. Trust me, if you raise your volume, it will be there. Okay. So this is me saying the bench will be better, I promise. But here's a couple of Davion lowlights, because there's going to be a lot of Davion lowlights. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but this is bad. Okay, here we go. You cannot create from a standstill. If you're Davion Mitchell, he's got to learn this. He's done this way too many times. Now, LeBron James has been playing against Davion Mitchell for 3 straight years, and you can tell this is not the first time, but rather the second time he does this to Davion Mitchell, and both times it results in a clean basket for D'Lo. Watch this. Boom. Not the first time. I promise. There's an almost identical play in the fourth quarter. And again, I told y'all, scouting report, you want to get Davion Mitchell off you? Boom. Now, this is just, I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to pick on the guy. He had a good fourth quarter, but y'all got to see this stuff. If you're missing this in real time, you got to see this. Okay. You got a 3-on-2. Okay. A 3-on-2 advantage. D'Lo is nobody's idea of a defender. LeBron can't guard his shadow at this point. You got no paint protection inside. You got RJ Barrett streaking downhill. And this is the shot that you took. Bro, if this was AAU, your ass would be benched for the rest of your life. Like, NBA contracts are a thing, man. All right. Now, this is not the first time. This is the second time. It's going to happen 3 times. Just watch. Boom. Again. Same thing. Scouting report is out. Davion Mitchell does not navigate screens well. And I'm telling you, man, y'all look at the ball pressure, and I respect it. I admire it. It's a lot of effort. But this stuff counts too. You can't keep getting screened off like this. Now, this is another Davion one. Holy shit. Man, I was picking on Davion today. I apologize, man. I need y'all to watch this, okay? This is an NBA player. This is an NBA player going downhill. And I want you to see how the defense reacts to this. I'm going to slow this down so y'all can really see this. So you don't tell me ever again that I'm like stretching it. Watch this. Look at how open he is. First of all, just look at how open he is. He's at the top right of your screen. Okay? Now, Ochai, out of options. D'Lo is going to go for the gamble. Dumbass move by D'Angelo Russell, which should result in a massive advantage. But wait what happens when the Lakers realize it's Davion Mitchell. They're just like, okay, we not doing shit. Are you kidding me right now? Do you understand how, like, okay, Anthony Davis is not a dumbass, right? He knows he got to stay home. He knows there's nothing behind him. So he's gonna trust that Davion Mitchell cannot make an open floater instead of surrendering a pass to Jakob Poeltl. And it works out brilliantly because Davion Mitchell, God's gift to basketball here, is going to make a dumbass pass, which is going to result in a very late clock grenade for, and I mean, like, you know what, like, whatever. Maybe Ochai could have gotten a paint touch, shot it back out to Boucher. Maybe that's not the best shot, but you got to realize that's a massive advantage. Once again, advantage. When D'Lo goes to the other side, that's an advantage. That's a huge advantage. You can't lose that advantage by being so suspect. Now, later on, Davion Mitchell found his confidence, but like, bro, I can't believe I posted this twice. Jesus. Okay. Now here's Jamal Shead. This is like sometimes the Raptors defense drives me crazy. Now here's Jamal Shead fighting his ass off. Jamal Shead did not have a good game tonight. I guarantee it. But look at him fighting. He's 6 feet tall, doing that Kyle Lowry thing, fighting up against Rui Hachimura. Look how long the Raptors leave this matchup. And then D'Lo is like, yeah, 6'9", 6 feet, not stopping shit. And you know, Jamal Shead, for all his troubles, gets punched in the face as well. Now, Jacoby checked in, which means I got a break from talking about Davion Mitchell and got to focus in on the Raptors rookie, the 19th overall pick. Take a look. This was his first play, literally 6 seconds into the game. He checks in and he gets a steal. You didn't see the full play there. I wish I clipped more of it, but yes. Now, second play. Check this out. Holy shit, the defense. Chris Boucher. What on earth is this? Bro, you can't be this sorry. That's LeBron James. It's not Steph Curry. What are you doing? You don't have to run him off the line like that. There's not, like, if you realize how ass some of these like decisions were in the first half, you realize how winnable this game possibly was. Now, here's a great play between rookie and rookie. High IQ rookie, meet high IQ rookie. Look, dribble handoff here, boom. Now, Jacoby, smart. He does something that Luka Doncic never dreamt of. He moves when he fucking passes. And here's Jonathan Mogbo with the perfect pass, and that's an and one. That's his first NBA basket. And salute to Jack Armstrong, because Jack Armstrong did not call Jonathan Mogbo's first basket. Just let it go. Today, he made a really big deal to call out Jacoby Walter's first basket. So I'm just going to say, I think the word got out. Don't do that shit again. Okay. Jacoby with a block. That's a 6'4.5" guard, but he's got a 6'10" wingspan, and that's Rui Hachimura, and he didn't see it coming. This is awesome. Okay. He does some Jalen Suggs shit. He also does some Ochai Agbaji shit, but unlike those guys, I think he could be better offensively than both. Okay. This is Jacoby Walter attacking Dalton Knecht, rookie on rookie crime there. And he went 1-on-2. He forgot. He's like, bro, he thinks he's at Baylor right now. And I love it. He went to the line, knocked down his 4th and 5th points. That would be it for scoring. But take a look at effort. I look at effort. Before the game, he was asked to describe himself, and he said, I'm a guy who's going to get on the ground. I'm going to go for loose balls. And just like that, look at that. Give it to me. That's a rookie. That's a rookie diving on the floor. Do you realize when Jacoby Walter came in, it was like a 22-point blowout? Do you know when he left? It was a 22-point blowout. He didn't lose a single minute. And he checked in the first quarter. He didn't check out until the mid-second quarter. So that's him telling you he didn't lose his minutes for a second tonight. There's not one unproductive stretch of basketball for Jacoby Walter, and that's just due to defensive activity. Yes, he got manhandled. I'm not kidding. Manhandled by Austin Reeves. Like, he tried to press up on him. Austin Reeves gave him one bump. He went 5 feet back. That's going to come with time. That's not supposed to happen right away. Now, here's Gradey Dick on what was the second three-pointer. Watch this. Gradey had like crazy aura today, man. I don't like to talk about aura with basketball players, but yo, like, that's awesome. Like, it's so automatic. How do you stop that? He's 6'8". Like, Gradey is becoming a star before our eyes, right? Like, it's awesome. It's awesome to watch. Okay. So it's worth noting that Anthony Davis fell out of the play. This is another advantage. Okay. Joe Mazzulla talks about power plays. This is about as close to a power play as you're going to get into the NBA. Hang on 1 second. I need to drink some water. 1 sec. And y'all drink some water too. It's good for you. Okay. Boom. What the hell, bro? RJ Barrett is splashing from 3. How the hell do you take this shot? It's 5-on-4. Anthony Davis ain't even on the screen. How the hell do you take this shot? Like, you gotta realize where you are in the pecking order, right? Like, and honestly, I don't like Ochab. Like, on the one hand, you want him to be assertive. You want him to take the right shots. He doesn't know what the right shots are right now, right? So right now, you got to see, this is how defenses are guarding him. So if you're going to gas him up for the threes he's making, please understand how much he hurts your spacing on the other side. Every three he's launching, ain't nobody guarding him. There are dudes in your LA Fitness who could hit open threes in the NBA. I'm telling you, if you're not guarded, then it's just a shot, right? You understand what I'm saying? But you can't take shots like this. You can't take dare shots, right? You got RJ Barrett, you got Anthony Davis, no paint protection. You give this to RJ Barrett, he's either splashing the 3 or he's going to the bucket. And this is an empty possession where the Raptors were still trying to claw back. And this, I think when he went to the bench here, this is when they climbed back. But not miss me with the whole he hit 2 threes in the second quarter, in the fourth quarter. I don't care. Okay, hang on. I gotta mute this one before I get a copyright strike. But look at this play. Boom. Gives him a little just a little step back. Oh my God. Okay, this is some actual star shit. Like, this is some Devin Booker, like, that's awesome. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And this is Gradey with his gravity opening up so much space for RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett's wide open and he doesn't need that much space. He can knock him down now. So he's hitting a 3 there. Look at RJ Barrett. Some of y'all are debating RJ Barrett being a star. Dude, I'm a Raptor fan. I hope he is a star. Watch this. RJ Barrett on LeBron James. Bro, if you still think LeBron James is a good defender, you're nuts. LeBron's been ass for years defensively. Watch this. Boom. Cooked. Chris Boucher, what are you doing, bro? Like, God. Don't tell me he's there for offensive rebounds. It's just terrible spacing. Him and Yak in the paint. Like, Jesus Christ. No wonder no one else can score. But RJ is very, very good at scoring in tight graps. Okay. Now, watch the mistakes. Y'all remember that thing where Davion Mitchell got picked off on a LeBron screen on a D-Lo back cut 2 times in the first half? Watch this. This is the fourth quarter. Happens again. Boom. Once again. This time, Chris Boucher recovers, leaves Rui Hachimura open for 3, and he's gonna splash it. You don't need to give NBA shooters this much space. They're gonna make it every time. Nuts. Man, that's nuts. I say that's nuts because how the hell do you let that same thing? How do you let them run the same play 3 times and not adjust? You got to call this shit. I don't know if you're going to say that's on Davion playing too tight. That's on Darko's system. I have no idea. Now watch this. Once again, there's no gravity. They don't care. Then let him shoot. They treat him like a fucking little kid out there, basically. Like 98-106. You can't have this shit happening. That's such an unforced error. Bro, what are we doing here? This shit made me so mad. I was about to. Now, this controversial. I don't know what to say. What did the NBA rules say about how long, how do you have to establish, your inbounds? Were his feet inbounds on that? Regardless of whether his feet were inbound on that. Chris Boucher and Davion Mitchell get completely lost, and Max Christie he's just out. He's in the dunker spot. Now you can argue he doesn't establish position here. I'm going to argue his foot's on the ground when he catches the basketball. Is that technically legal? Is his foot still out of bounds? He hasn't touched the basketball yet. So I'm slowing this down super for you guys because a lot of people were kind of crashing out online about this. Let me show you the entire play. Hang on. Bump, 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 bump. Wow, I feel like the replay center. He hasn't touched the ball yet, and he's not out of bounds. So my interpretation on this, honestly, is that he's in bounds. My interpretation is also that Chris Boucher and Davion Mitchell have lost their man. This is Davion's man. I'm just being clear with you guys, just so you know, this is Davion's man. And can't have this, man. Off-ball awareness is so suspect. It's insane. Okay. Coast to coast. RJ Barrett. Let's go. Didn't see this last year. Look at this. Lakers don't stop in transition. Austin Reeves. Okay defender. Not a great defender. D'Lo. Not a great defender. Anthony Davis is already out of the play. Gradey Dick is so smart. Bro, that's awesome. He's just letting them know. Boom, boom, boom. Yak, nice sort of, boom. Great. That was awesome. Okay. Overall, really inspiring game. Give this video a like if you appreciated that little film session there. We got nearly 500 people in here, but we got no callers. No callers. Maybe I gotta put the link in the description for the callers to call in. Would that be appropriate? Let me do that right now, and then we'll get into the key key takeaways of the game. Now that my mic has sort of stopped buzzing, let me not jinx that. That is our goal, man. Our goal is to be the best post-game Raptors show on the planet. The Shane, when RJ scores 40 next game, send a public apology. I never said he couldn't score. I don't need this public apology bullshit. I never said he couldn't score. I said he can't defend at a high enough level to be a guaranteed starter next to a Gradey Dick. Now, if Gradey becomes a great defender and RJ becomes a competent defender, or if they both become competent defenders, we can have a different discussion about it. Jeez. This discussion needs to end. Bro, he's not better than Scottie. He's just very, very good at what he does. And what he does is being unlocked in this system. It's awesome. Country Kong, show Davion some love. Okay, he hit 2 open threes in the fourth quarter, and he hit a layup. Congratulations. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Okay, let's talk about some key takeaways of this game. Take this off, make myself bigger. Okay, link is in the description. If you would like to call in, link is also in the chat. If you want to call in, let's have a conversation about this. You want to talk to me about how good RJ Barrett can be? We can do that. You want to talk about where the hell this season's going? You want to talk about the rookies? You want to talk about trades? You want to talk about draft picks? You want to talk about the upcoming draft, whether the Raptors should tank? We talk about whatever. Zaire, call out Darko's defensive system. Bro, if you don't understand that this is by design, like, I don't know what to tell you. Do you not get it? Call out his defensive system. What are you doing? Why don't you call in? Figure out how you would run this defense, bro. Let me give y'all like a clear like view into this. Rookies generally are not good at defending. your personnel right now is not good defensively. Just not good defensively. Y'all overrate Davion like crazy. I just showed you how many times he gets screened off and gets lost off ball. Y'all want to overrate RJ defensively because he tries, and I'm going to give him credit for that because last year he didn't try. This year he's trying. Gradey is trying, but he's still limited defensively. I like the fact that RJ stuck on Anthony Davis in the fourth quarter and really pushed him off his spot. He battled. That's the most I can expect from RJ and Gradey and even Jacoby right now. Jacoby's going to be a phenomenal defender. Just to let y'all know, Jacoby, in my opinion, is the best 3-and-D prospect the Raptors have had since OG Anunoby. I think he's awesome. He's going to be really good for the Raptors. You just keep watching. Like, Darko's no dummy. He kept him on the game. Like, he played a ton of minutes tonight. A ton of minutes, and he earned every one of them. He didn't make his shots, fine. He's still spacing the floor. We got AG calling in. AG, what's up? Hello? All right, I'll come back to you. Overall, I think that the Toronto Raptors can be very happy with how the development is going. Gradey looks like a sub all-star. He really does. He looks like he's pulling on some friggin' like I don't know what to compare this to because he's got playmaking chops that a lot of my favorite shooters didn't have. Like guys like Allen Houston, Glenn Rice weren't necessarily the greatest shooters. Is he showing me some Ray Allen stuff right now? Is he doing some Ray Allen stuff? I know that the people last year who was going crazy when Keontae George and Jordan Hawkins were having those huge games are not talking about those players right now because what Grady's doing for you right now is absolutely nuts. Jakob Poeltl, right? Mixed bag. Had a really big block in the fourth quarter. Really cool, to see him recover like that. I don't think he's that great defensively, but you're so much worse with him off the floor because he's still competent defensively. He's not great. He's not single-handedly lifting your defense. I don't even think he's quite the rim protector that someone like a Donovan Clingan is right now. But he's competent. He boxes out, communicates well. He's taken on this leadership role. It's been really cool, to watch. All right, we got some callers up in here. Danny, what's going on?
Hey, Rob, can you hear me, man?
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm actually at work right now, as you could probably tell.
We can tell.
Yeah. First off, I mean, what can be said that hasn't already been said about Gradey, man? It's phenomenal. I think he should probably be in the lead right now for MIP. What do you think? Is that reaching?
There's an old adage that second-year players never win Most Improved Player, unfortunately. But like going from possibly one of the 5 worst players in the NBA last year to I think every single team would have him in their upper 7 rotation right now with what he's doing. I feel like what he's doing is so impressive, not because, a lot of people are going to see 31 points, 30 points, 25 points. They're seeing those numbers and they're like, "Ooh, wow, Grady's amazing." I don't care about points. I give a shit less. I care about how you get those points. I care how replicable what he's doing is when Scottie and IQ come back. But what he's doing is insanely replicable. And what he's doing for the Raptors spacing is opening all sorts of driving angles for Ochai, for Yak. Like he is anchoring this offense with his off-ball movement and intensity and just his relentless pursuit of gaps. He's awesome. And the pull-up threes and the step backs and the hezzy pulls, this shit is like that takes it to a completely new level. And then the paint finishing, that takes it to a completely new level. And once we see the pick and roll ball handling, that takes it to Gradey Dick is an all-star. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this guy is flashing serious all-star shit right now. And it's so amazing.
Absolutely, man. I have to agree. His bag is just so deep. Like, I know you talk about, watching his tape in high school, and, I've just kind of gone back and seen a few clips. And absolutely, it's like his confidence right now is at an all-time high, and he must have been working like crazy finishing at the rim because he's really doing a lot of the same things he did last year at the rim, but his finishing is just so much better. Like he's just not getting bumped off as much. And you talk about him creating space for others, but in a weird way, he's actually creating space for himself as well, because his defender has to respect his pull up at all times, right? So he's getting advantage on that first step, and he does have a very explosive first step. So he's definitely one of those guys who can exploit that kind of advantage that he creates for himself. Another thing, what did you think of Mogbo tonight?
I think he's really just super smart. I think he just makes incredible reads defensively. I think, I like that little, shiftiness, that pass from Boucher where I think they took it away and they gave the foul to Boucher or whatever, and then Boucher went to the line. That was like interesting. He's just like one of those guys who doesn't waste time. He
Yeah,
doesn't waste processing time. He doesn't waste time grabbing the rebound and looking around, trying to figure the court out. Like he maps the court so well and he maps coverages so well defensively that I am just blown away that he's a rookie. I'm also blown away that Jacoby's a rookie. I'm also blown away at times that Jamal Shead's a rookie. And just wait till these guys fix the one thing in their game. With Mobo, it's a shot. With Shed, it's a shot. With Jacoby, honestly, is just strength. Jacoby is in the same boat that Gradey was in last year. I
for
don't
sure.
think people understand how good this guy's gonna be, but I'm like, honestly, yeah. Did you follow me at the draft?
Yeah, I followed the draft. I not to glaze here or anything, but I pretty much watch all your videos, man. Like I don't always watch them live, which is another reason I don't really call in that much. But yeah, no, I thought that I thought you were right on
Eve Nisi?
what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, you're on ease, Misi for sure, but who's also playing really well. Like his defense is translated like perfectly to the NBA. Like I don't think he's not had a block in every game. Obviously, blocks aren't everything, but
Yeah.
but the fact that he is just seems to always be around the ball in the paint. Like I think that yeah, you're right about ease, but um, like
Well, what's
my
interesting is
thing with Walter.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I
I
was
was just
saying
gonna
that.
say.
My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, good brother. No, I was just gonna say the thing with Jacoby is like, yeah, like he is a smaller, or I shouldn't say smaller, but he's a thinner guard. I think that his defensive instincts are already so good that he can be a really good wing and perimeter defender. I think he's already there. We'll have to see. Guys are going to keep posting him up until he kind of bulks up. But his frame actually seems to be the type that he'll be able to add muscle pretty well.
He will. Did you play basketball?
I did, but not in high school. Uh, I moved to Canada when I was a teenager, like 13 years old, and from Jamaica, and we don't really play a lot of basketball in Jamaica. So it kind of took me a while to, I had to start from the basics. So by the time I was in high school, I just wasn't even close to being good enough. And since then, I've definitely gotten better. But I don't play. I've never played competitively, just like just local rec leagues, that kind of stuff. So yeah, shout
Yeah.
out Jamaica,
Shout out Jamaica for sure.
Maroon Prince.
Yeah, we got Scottie Barnes up in here, like Jamaica. It's cool, man. So what we were talking about was basically Jacoby, right? His frame. The fact that you noticed his frame, like being able to fill out, I was like, maybe you have some sort of athletic background. Yes, he does have a frame that's going to fill out. He's going to need a year to get stronger. But once he gets stronger, that motor that he plays with is relentless. The fact that he attacks gaps so well is going to be more exploited with the fact that he's going to have more space than he's ever had before. And I trust his first step to get better. his shooting is so smooth. If you watch him practicing like 20, 25 in a row, and it's just same form every time, consistent, consistent, consistent. And he moves so well without the basketball. The fact that you've hit on Gradey and Jacoby, and I know it's really early for both, right? It's so early for
Yeah,
both, but you just got the perfect wing combo for Scottie Barnes because
for sure.
Jacoby can guard like a motherfucker. Like he can dig into the ball. He can navigate screens. He is like so talented. And today I was reflecting back on the fact that Rafael Barlow, a draft scout that I follow, occasionally when he mentions somebody, I'm like, all right, let me check this guy out. So he shouted out Jacoby early in the process, like 11 months ago, and he had him as a top 3 pick, and he said this is the safest pick. So at that point, I started to flag Jacoby and watched his Baylor tape, and I was like, bro, this guy is not a playmaker. He's just not. He don't looking to pass ever. So I was like, man, selfish players like this, like they don't go right. So then I watched
Hmm.
some more games where he struggled with decision making, and I was like, I'm out. So I had him 17th on my board. You remember I had even EC 10th on my board.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
obviously at the draft, I was a little disappointed, but it's the same thing with Jordan Hawkins. I was like, okay, if the Raptors picked him, let me go back and watch the high school tape that I missed. And then when I watched this Link Academy tape, I was like, oh shit, there's all that playmaking. Holy shit,
yeah.
there's like really good transition stuff. And then I started to dig more and I was like, okay, I completely get it. I'm still super high on EBC, but next to Scottie in this system, Jacoby makes more sense. So I completely understand what the
For
Raptors
sure.
did and I became very high on him. And then I got in touch with his trainer, Eric, and we got to chatting about it. And I just got to understand a lot more about his process and where he's coming from and who he is. And then I got to listen to him, got to watch him like now with the Raptors and Summer League, just studying his body language, studying. And I was like, absolute 100%. So I'm so
Yeah,
happy for him, even though he shot 1 for 8 nerves, like
yeah,
shooting variance, whatever. He's going to have a 7 for 9 night this year as well. He is going to be so good for this team, whether it's off the
for
bench or
sure.
not. Plus you got Ochai. Like Ochai is really blossoming right now. The development stories, like Darko Rajakovic deserves like a lot of credit. Jama deserves a lot of credit.
100%.
Man, Masai Ujiri is
Yeah,
sitting there. The team's getting blown out by like 20 and 15, and he's not panicked at all. Like typically,
yeah.
he's not apologizing. He's just like, look at the young talent. Like, this is Masai's dream to see this many of his young prospects developing like this. And just wait till Ulrich, starts to come around. The Raptors just rebuilt
Man,
their entire youth movement in one summer. And I have never seen a team do this. At most, I've seen a team hit like half. Like you got 3
mhm.
players, maybe 1 will work out, max 2. 3, that's crazy. But to go for 5 rookies and they all look like they have solid potential, even Jameson Battle. I mean, this
Yeah,
this team is on something else right now. The
for
the
sure,
future is
man.
very bright. The future is so bright.
Yeah, I remember you were worried about just how many picks we're gonna have and how many rookies potentially were gonna be on this team this year. And I gotta say, like, I'm just so impressed with them. You touch on Ulrich. Um, what I almost kind of wish he was playing a few of those like early on, like a couple Fernando minutes, just to kind of get him, used to the pace of the game. Not that pace is ever going to be a problem for him. He's like, he's a bloody gazelle, man. So he's always going to be one of the fastest guys on the court. But I would love to see him just get, a little bit of run. Um, Obviously, he
He
can do
will.
anything that Fernando can do and probably better. Um, they just really are taking it easy with him, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So uh, another thing that I'm curious about is, once we do start to get these guys healthy, we get Scottie back, we get Quick back. Um, what do you think that our 11-man rotation is going to look like?
Well, I don't know if we're gonna go 11 deep, but let me try this. So here's what I would do. I don't know what they're gonna do because shit, I wouldn't have started Davion, but they're
Yeah,
starting
yeah,
Davion.
no,
So here's what I would do. I would start IQ, Gradey, Scottie, RJ, Yak. I guess that's the starting 5. I would think about honestly, it would be so hard for me to put Gradey on the bench right now, but I just think
yeah.
Jacoby fits so much better with that starting lineup defensively. Like
Wow, really?
I do. I've been on this for a while. It's not an indictment on Gradey. I just think like, and you're not benching RJ. Like I just think you don't have enough defense with Emmanuel Quickly plus RJ Barrett plus Gradey Dick. You're dead. Like Jakob
Yeah.
Poeltl is not Rudy Gobert. He can't clean that up. But
Yeah.
let's
Can I throw in a quick observation as well?
Sure.
Is that with that lineup, you know what? It surprised me when you said it, but now that I think about it, the truth is that we only have one ball, right? And if you got Quick, he's gonna have to eat. Scottie obviously has to eat. RJ has to eat. Gradey doesn't advance your offense in the same way he would as your sixth man or as your bench scoring. So I actually do agree with that. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So, and as a backup point guard, I actually would just, I mean, if I had to go to where it's a smaller matchup because the other guard is really shifty, I'd go to Jamal Shead. But most nights, I would just let Scottie run the backup point. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would, okay. So then, and then it would be Bruce, Kelly, Gradey, and that would be 8. And then Ochai would be 9. So that would be
Mm-hmm.
my bench. And then if I had to go deeper than that, it would be, so I mean, of course, in theory, you're not going to bench Gradey. Like that's just politically not a statement they're willing to make. But from a basketball standpoint, it would make a lot of sense. And those second units would be crazy with him and Scottie. Like you'd be running teams off the floor and blowing them out of the water all game long. Because Jacoby can do a lot of the stuff that Gradey can do. He just doesn't need as much usage, and he's a much better defender right now. But he's a good rebounder too, right? So he does a lot of the same stuff that Gradey does. He can move off the ball. He can get you space. But now Gradey can come in first stint. He can pretty much come in for Scottie, and then Scottie can take a break, and then you can still get Gradey his 28 minutes. Jacoby can be like a token starter. You know what I mean? Like he can be like a 15 to 18 minute starter, like Michael Curry was. You know what I mean? It's not an indictment on Gradey. Please don't hate me in the chat, guys. Like I'm very high on Gradey, but if not that, and then if it wasn't that, then it would be Jacoby coming off the bench and Gradey starting, whatever, and then hopefully Jacoby can be explosive scoring. But I just think he's further behind physically than Gradey right now. So I don't know. That would kind of be it. And then beyond that, I guess Chris Boucher would be like the 11th guy, and then I'd go to Davion.
Yeah.
Or well, I mean, so off the bench it would be Kelly, Bruce, Jacoby.
Gradey.
Well, no, Gradey would be starting in this case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then beyond that, man, it gets tough after that though, right? Because Scottie's running with that bench. You're going 8 deep, 9-8. Ochai. That's your 9. That's your 9. You go beyond that, it's either between Chris Boucher and Jamal Shead based on what you need on a night-to-night basis. I'm pretty much putting Davion Mitchell and Bruno Fernando on ice. Like specialists, break the glass in case needed. Jameson Battle, same thing. So basically, Bruno, Davion, and Jameson become specialists at the core, at the very end of your bench. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Jameson is like if you need like a spark plug spacer, and Grady's invaluable. And
what's your sulfite time down in
sorry, I'm gonna have to meet you there, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You have to go, eh? All right.
Yeah, I gotta go, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, Danny. Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy your shift. Okay, that was cool. Really cool. Shout outs to Danny. Shout outs to the callers. It's always cool to communicate with people who've been longtime viewers. Maybe you see their words, but you don't connect with them. I'm gonna say this, no matter how many times we've done these call-ins, with the exception of very, very few times, because I'm not gonna lie to you, there have been a couple of times where I'm like a little disappointed, but almost every single time I'm always so impressed with the people that follow our channel. It's always so cool to meet the community. Next up, we got AG. Hopefully he has fixed his microphone. AG, what's going on?
I have. How you doing, Rob?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Yeah, so I just wanted to make some statements, okay? Because obviously, shout out to the people in the chat. I've been there a part of the community for a while now. I just want to make something very clear. I am not an RJ hater, okay? I'm not.
Cool.
I just see a vision. I'm looking long term for this team, and long term, what I see is that the guys who are going to be here for sure, in my opinion, are going to be obviously Scottie, Gradey, IQ, I see him being here long term. Kids off the bench like Jacoby, Mogbo, Shead, if everything works out, hopefully, and the other kid. So I see these guys being like surefire bets to stay here long term and produce and be, you know, good players for our team. I honestly, for if I'm looking at a championship caliber team or a team that's going to go far, I don't see RJ, IQ, and Gradey on the court at the same time doing like, I don't see them as a competent trio, especially defensively. I don't see it. And for me, I just don't understand how people are saying, okay, yeah, I get it. RJ is really good at slashing, get it to the rim, and he's really worked on his game. He's developed really well. And he's a good kid. He's from Mississauga. Like that, all that sentimental crap. I don't care about that personally. I just care about like the game. Okay, what I see. And what I see is Gradey, what he has done at the age of 20 in his second year, and currently with the situation he's in, with all the players that are on his team, and the fact that we lack a playmaker, a primary playmaker right now, like I'm talking right now, that initiates and draws gravity, and he's still doing this back-to-back 30-point games. Like, people don't understand how cool, like, do they not see it?
What do you mean?
No, because I'm seeing in the chat, it's like, oh, you know, they don't see my perspective. They don't see it's like, oh no, they can coexist, they can work. Okay, sure, if you're not trying to win a championship, but that for me, I only care about championships and competing. What do you think?
So,
am I out to lunch?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, the way you want to do it ideally is you want talent. Now, if I asked you a question, like, you watched RJ in New York, right? Super inconsistent shooter, super inconsistent playmaker for others, very limited, couldn't guard his shadow, wasn't competing defensively very well, really negative across the board, not efficient, not scoring well around the rim. So if I told you that he was capable of even what he's doing right now, I think you'd probably tell me I was crazy, right? But he is. And I'm not even victory lapping because I didn't see this coming. So I was just like, it's cool. You traded for him. He's fine. Just be cautious. It's a lot of empty calories. Today, some of the stuff felt a little less empty calorie-ish, right? Like, where I felt like he really did read the defense better. I felt like he did break them down. I felt like he did make really good reads out of those. I felt like the turnovers are getting better. So, you know, if he can continue to develop this way, then he's a hell of an asset if and when, you know, you decide to upgrade that center spot, or, you know, I don't know what trade you might make. But in the event that, you know, people's prophecy comes true and he does become like a really major part of your core going forward, well, number one, he's on Scottie's timeline, which is great, right? He is young enough to participate in this. Number two, yes, it will require a massive, I'm going to say massive upgrade at center defensively. You're going to have to find like Cooper Flag defensively. You know, it's going to require like Andre Kirilenko, Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green. It's going to require like a serious defensive anchor to make up for what you lose offensively. Let's also not completely ignore the fact that Emmanuel Quickley, Gradey Dick, Jacoby Walter, there's a lot of movement shooters. RJ does something that I think nobody else on your roster does. Yet. Jacoby might become it. Gradey might get better at it. Scottie might get better at it. But right now, RJ is like a floor-raising guy, you know, and I think as long as his shot selection stays where it's at right now, I'm perfectly comfortable with 85% of the shots he's taking. I don't see a lot of green light tests. I don't see a lot of dare shots. I don't see a lot of stupid shots. Do I see a couple of dumb decisions? Hell yes. But that's true for every player. So I'm okay with him right now. I am. I'm not going to use, you know, back-to-back. Like, he's averaging 27, 20, 28 points per game, and he's doing it just about as efficiently as you could ask. He's hitting his threes. So, yeah, you know, I was a very big critic of Cade Cunningham because I didn't feel like he was good enough as a first option to lead to a efficient offense. And I didn't think he was good enough as a second option because he couldn't shoot and he couldn't defend to save his life, right? I feel very similarly about Cade and RJ. Their entire play style is very similar, right? But RJ is showing some of that stuff that Cade hasn't. Like, I don't want to say like Cade's obviously like more talented necessarily, like in terms of his ball skills and stuff. But RJ's showing stuff like he's going to his right hand now, so he's not entirely left hand merchant. That makes him more dynamic. He gets downhill, he gets to the line, he slows the game down, he simplifies offense, and he's a weapon for Scottie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people have a vision of Scottie like he's going to be Kawhi, and he doesn't have to be Kawhi. Like, that's the important thing. It's like he's such a weapon that when you put pieces like Gradey and RJ around him and Emmanuel Quickley, like, he's going to dissect defenses. And if they leave him one-on-one like they're doing with Paolo, he's gonna lunch them for like 40 points. So you become really unstoppable. But if you replace RJ with like Ochai, all that scoring gravity goes away because RJ is just like looking to score, and that's important. I think it's important. So I don't know. What am I saying? Like, do I foresee RJ Barrett being, the Jaylen Brown to Scottie's? You know what I mean? Like, do I see? You know what I mean? Like, do I see him being the Jaylen Brown to Scottie's Jason Tatum? Sure, if he can work on his defense and become, 25th percentile defender, sure. But you need upgrades somewhere else to hold water defensively because Scottie and Yak are not good enough to anchor the 3 players they're playing with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like, okay, so I get what you're saying. Okay. And this is also the argument that a lot of guys in the chat had. However, I'm looking at it from a perspective of we're not going to have Yak as the center going forward, right? So I'm looking at it from a perspective of we're trying to build a championship core, and clearly, as constructed, if we were to have RJ in the rotation, like as a starter, we would need a significant upgrade at either power forward or center, like in terms of the defense, because defensively it's not going to cut it. So that's what I'm looking at. Offensively, yes, RJ he is a good fit. I see that, obviously, with his skill set. It's unique to everybody that's on the roster, especially a lot of the guys on the wing. Like, he's the best at drawing fouls and getting to the paint and all that stuff. But in terms of defensively, I'm assuming that we're going to have a significant upgrade at the center position. I'm assuming that because obviously the team is very smart. They know what they're doing. So when that happens, then I see RJ as expendable. And we can use RJ, in a trade package to get us something else that's gonna allow Gradey and whoever we draft this year, because I don't think we're gonna have. I think we're gonna be a top 5 pick, clearly. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't know. But
what is your primary concern? Is your primary concern that RJ Barrett becoming a 25 point per game scorer is going to somehow stunt the growth of Scottie or Gradey, or that his mere presence on the court basically stifles the defensive upside of the team?
That's my concern. The second
one. So you don't care that he's a 25 point per game scorer. You just care that he's okay. So here's the thing. Like, how do the Denver Nuggets operate, right? Multiple threats, right? So if Gradey is your advanced version of KCP in that situation, and Emmanuel,
are they comparable though? Are they comparable?
No, I think Gradey deserves more. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a little weird. And obviously, Masai Ujiri has cleared up clutter before, right? He's cleared up a cluttered roster before. I trust that you are correct. I 100% believe that you are correct that the Raptors do prioritize those players that you mentioned above RJ. But I do believe minds can change, right? Like, there was a time when the Raptors were dead set on moving off of DeMar DeRozan. In fact, one of the biggest open secrets in the NBA was one of the biggest reasons they were willing to take that bet for Kawhi was they really weren't all too enamored with giving DeMar that max contract in the first place. They had seen the vision of how far you can go with a defensive liability and an inefficient scorer. The difference, however, is DeMar has never shot 9 attempts per game from 3 at 40% ever. Like, that's just not his game. He's never done it. Like, he's done it on lower volume at lower efficiency, and we were all really happy. We're like, oh my God, DeMar DeRozan's averaging 35% from 3, and he's taking a couple. You know what I mean? RJ is doing something completely different. So again, I'm not saying you're wrong. Trust me, I've been there where you're standing. I've been there just like a week ago, and I'm like seeing him, and I'm trying to change my mind about it because it's not because it's not because I'm wishy-washy, and it's not because it's because I'm not inflexible. I think one of the my biggest pet peeves about basketball is that people become very, very rigid about their takes, and then they don't move off of them. We just talked about with the last caller, we were talking about how high I was on Yves Messi at the draft. I mean, if I was a normal draft person, I would be sitting here telling you, see, should have taken Yves Messi over Jacoby Walter. Look how great he's been. I haven't done that once. Not once, not ever. Because I changed my mind. I'm allowed to change my mind. So same thing with RJ Barrett, same thing with Ochai Agbaji, same thing with Davion Mitchell. If he becomes like an NBA level point guard, I will change my mind. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he will either. And I'm pretty firm on it as well. But and I said it in that video. I'm like, at no point do I ever expect this to change because I understand what it takes to be a good 6 foot point guard, and he hasn't shown it for 1 second in his 4-year career so far. However, and it's the same thing with Chris Boucher. You know, there's been good moments of Chris Boucher, like a good month of Chris Boucher where he really figures it out. And then there's nights like we've seen a lot of nights, you know, so far and last year where it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So again, it's like I can change my mind about things, right? And I hope you can too. I hope we all can. You know, some people feel like Scottie's a fucking role player, like a glorified role player, and they have no idea why the Raptors are building around him. And when he comes back, you know, he has like a 40 piece, and you know, people see the vision and are like, oh wow, the handle's a lot tighter.
Yeah, but you know
Holy
that,
shit.
Rob. But you know, sorry, but like, you know, those people just ignore it, right?
I don't
not coming
care,
from.
but that's the thing. I don't care. Like I'm on PC every single week, and I deal with some of the dumbest people
Yeah.
in the chat ever. I cannot believe it. I'm like, bro, are this many people like how are this many kids out of school at 12 o'clock? Like, what the fuck is happening? And you
Yeah.
and these people, like, they will come at you all day. They'll tell you your hat is stinky because you're wearing the same hat for the 8th episode in a row or something like that. They'll tell you you're an idiot. They'll tell you don't know basketball. And you know, I've learned to grow thick skin because all the while I'm dealing with that shit, I got Swipovich yelling into a microphone 6 decibels louder than anyone. And I'm getting a headache. Like sometimes you have to just like while he's talking, just focus in on me. And I'm just like trying to take my headphones off. I'm just like, bro, every time I'm on the panel, my girlfriend has learned to give me an Advil literally as I come out of the booth. She's like, there's your Advil. And it's partially the chat. But I'm not trying to watch how people are. I'm trying to be like who I want to be, and who I want to be is a basketball analyst who can change his mind. Because I watch way too many people be like, no, Suggs over Scottie, and they're still fiending for that fucking validation on their initial take. And it's like, bro, that's 3-4 years ago. Get over it. They don't get over it. So again, I implore Raptor fans, if RJ Barrett keeps this shit up, I hope he's a part of the future forever. I really do. It will be hard to compensate for defense around him.
Yeah.
It might be harder, however, to find a guy who can carry a second unit like this. Because I'll tell you right now, if he starts doing what Scottie's doing, your second unit will get so much more competent. He can find buckets. He can get to the basket. He can milk time, you know, because every game gets longer every time you go to the basket, right?
Mhm.
Every time you go to the basket, this is so underrated. RJ can be a free throw merchant. If he can figure this out, like if his shooting gravity is real and teams start running him off the line, holy shit, that opens up a whole new can of worms for RJ as a driver. And if the spacing gets better, especially if we do end up with like one of those rare archetypes of bigs who can actually stretch the floor plus defend the paint, holy shit, now you're in the clear. If Ulrich becomes that, holy shit, you're amazing. You know what I mean? RJ can grow with this core. I'm very pleased with him this year. I'm not going to slander anything that he's doing right now. I wish his decision making would be a little bit better sometimes, but you know what? Again, he's gotten a lot better. So I agree with your overall take, though. I'm not trying to like backtrack and go into 5 different directions. I agree with your overall take that Gradey will be the priority. Scottie will be the priority. Emmanuel quickly will be the priority. But I believe RJ can participate in this. And I also believe if Jakob Poeltl, you know, continues to buy in, he can probably participate as a backup big at some point too. You know, they can all stay. They probably won't because the cap is the cap. And at some point, if Gradey keeps playing like this, he's going to be a borderline max player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the cap sheet will be the cap sheet at that point, but we'll see. He's working himself into a hell of an asset, isn't he?
That's what I was going to say. And just my last comment, because I know you got other callers real quick. I want to say, like, I want to come across as somebody that's trying to be objective and looking at the future, because obviously after the 76ers game, I saw the loss. Well, not the loss, sorry. It was the second game of the season. No, third game of the season. I just knew the season was over at that point. I just said, okay, this is done. But maybe I'm pessimistic, but whatever. So I'm looking towards the future, and I get it. You know, it's going to be a rough season. Scottie got hurt. I can expect a top 5 pick. Hopefully, you know, we don't know how this goes, but I can see a future where RJ is a significant piece on our team. However, I just, as currently constructed, which obviously is kind of foolish if I think about it, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same team once we're competitive. So I can foresee if he continues to develop, because honestly, I'll give him credit. He's been amazing since he came to Toronto, right? And he's continued in the summer. And obviously, I trust our development team, coaching, right? So our coaches. So I honestly think, in my opinion, from what I see, and we agree, I guess, on this, as currently, you know, with the core and the makeup of the team, unless he accepts a reduced role off the bench, like not even a reduced, a lot of 6-men play more than starters, right? So if he accepts that role, then yeah. But obviously, contractual, it's not going to, whatever.
Darko compared him to Manu Ginobili. which I thought was crazy at the time, but
Oh,
that's
both of them.
interesting. Manu Ginobili came off the bench.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate it.
No
As
problem.
always. Cheers.
Take care, man.
Have a good one. Okay, we got 4 callers lined up. We've got Lane, Rue, Scottie Too Hottie, and Tetrahedron. We're gonna try to keep these somewhat shorter. Scottie Too Hottie, what's going on?
What's going on, Rob?
Not too much. How are you?
Good, man. I'm getting a headache hearing all this RJ talk. I'm trying to just sit there and figure it out. But for the most part,
what's
honestly,
the headache?
it's not really a headache. It's a good problem to have, I think. Like if you have, talented players and you're trying to figure out, what role they're gonna play, it's gonna ultimately means that you're headed in the right direction. And
Right.
that's how I feel about this team. I feel like, optimistic. I feel like we have some good pieces to work with. We just gotta figure out where to plug them in and get them, the machine rolling towards getting us a postseason run. One thing I would say about this whole RJ situation, and interestingly enough, how you just mentioned Darko is comparing him to Manu Ginobili.
Mhm.
I really think he would be great with the second unit, and I think he would be the exact piece that they're missing. Because, I mean, I'm sure we all know, as soon as the second unit comes in, there's this huge drought of scoring, and if it's not Scottie, creating, we don't have someone that's really offensively oriented. In regards to, like, if you noticed, based on the lineups you were just mentioning earlier, you got Ochai coming off the bench. You got Bruce Brown when he's healthy, Kelly, who can play make a bit, and Jamal Shead, given that Davion would be 9th, 10th man. And I think RJ would fit that lineup so well because he would have the ball in his hands, he would create, and there won't be the pressure of going up against starter guys. He's going to
Right.
be going up against a lot of second unit guys.
Well, what about him doing what Scottie does, which is early checkout, and then he comes in and he's more of like anchoring that second unit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So he doesn't need to not start for that to happen. He just, right?
No, for sure. I don't think him not starting. I don't think that's the course here. I think.
Yeah, because right now what you're seeing is RJ with some of those players. Like you're seeing him with, I mean, eventually you'll see him with a Bruce Brown or a Kelly Olynyk, which will make life a lot easier. But right now you're seeing with Ochai, you're seeing him with Gradey, you're seeing him with Yak, you're seeing him with Davion, you're seeing him with all these guys, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's working that dribble handoff game with Gradey. He's doing it with Yak. He's working the high screen roll. Okay, great. He's navigating space better. I think his decision making has accelerated rapidly. There is an upside to this, of course, but I'm willing to see it through. Of course, I'm willing to see it through. And I don't think that it necessarily has to get in the way of anything. I mean, Scottie's a super selfless superstar. That's what I really love about him, is that he's gonna gladly do the Magic Johnson, Nikola Jokic thing. Fans can spam it all they want, but at some point, if Scottie's averaging like 21, 10, and 8 and is a great defender, he's the happiest guy in the world. He don't need to score 30 points per game to be happy. He'll happily let RJ Barrett score 24, Emmanuel quickly score 23. He doesn't care. He just wants to win. You know what I mean? So he's that type of guy. But of course, when it comes down to getting the final bucket, you need that final thing. He's shown many times that he can take over, So I think there's an archetype of like what we think a superstar is supposed to be. But I would look at guys like Magic Johnson who let other people eat. I would look at guys like Jason Kidd. I would look at, because in essence, he is a point guard. And what you want to do with a point, and I think the Raptors realized that very early. I think he's realized that very early. He's been playing point guard since he was grade 6. So what you want to do with a point guard is you don't want to stifle it. Like what did the Nets do with Jason Kidd? They got him Kenyon Martin. They got him RJ Jefferson. Richard Jefferson. They got him Vince Carter. Nobody thought, Vince Carter scoring 27 points per game. It was always Jason Kidd's team. was always Jason Kidd's team, right? He was always the best player. He could be the best player scoring. You know, like look at Steve Nash. When you get a great passer, you need great scorers. You need guys who have great gravity. You have guys with great instincts. Remember Steve Nash, right? Who do you have? Josh, not Josh Richardson. Who am I talking about? Josh Richardson. Jason Richardson. Shit. Jason Richardson. He had Amari Stoudemire. He had Sean Marion. Like these guys were all really good scorers. I mean, Sean Marion is kind of like a transition scorer only. Amari Stoudemire was somewhat redundant, but you want to have great players. You want to have this. And at the center of it, if you have a superstar who's willing to take 16 shots to make it happen, whereas maybe someone like Paolo would want to take 26 shots or 25 shots, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Scottie's got a lot of those Pippen tendencies. You know, he's got a lot of those Jokic, those Magic, those types of tendencies. You know what I mean? Where he can fit in with other players. Like Scottie's best. I often think about like what would be the best player to put next to Scottie Barnes, and I'm like, man, Shea would be awesome with Scottie. You know what I mean?
That would be actually perfect.
Yeah. But like Shea would score like 32 points per game and Scottie would be happy for him. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to be like that. Like he'll have his, 30 piece, 40 piece, 50 piece, I'm sure of it. But he doesn't need to be so ball dominant. Like he don't need to be Luka in terms of usage where like, oh, he's not James Harden where it's like, oh, I am the system. So, they were talking on the panel today about Luka Doncic's play style and how it never leads to winning, right? And they were saying how every time he passes, he just stands there. He doesn't do shit for anybody. You know what I mean? He'll screen only to get himself open. Scottie's not that type of player. He'll screen to get you open. You know what I mean? When he passes, he cuts. He has great habits. So he can, I'm very curious to see what this team looks like together. I have a feeling they're going to blow some teams out by like 30, 40 points if Gradey keeps shooting like this.
No, for sure. Yeah. And not to mention, how Luka got exposed last year in the finals defensively. Like they were literally seeking him every possession.
Mm-hmm.
And, Scottie obviously like one-on-one.
Scottie at the pinch post is a double team. If you're not double teaming him, he's going to score. So if you double team him, Gradey's open, IQ's open, RJ's open. Good luck. You're dead. You know what I mean? But the minute you take RJ or IQ out, either one of those guys, and you replace them with a Davion, suddenly that double team becomes a lot easier, right? You're making life a lot easier for Scottie by actually having RJ. I think a lot of people have this paradigm of like Tatum versus Brown, and it's unfortunate because they make life so much easier for each other. So if Tatum and Brown can coexist with Drew Holiday and Derek White, then why the hell can't Scottie Barnes and RJ Barrett coexist with Emmanuel Quickley and Gradey Dick? You see my point? Like they have Kristaps Porzingis to feed as well. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to build more talent. You're not trying to get rid of talent to elevate other talent. You know what I mean? Like if you keep scoring at the pace this team wants to score, they could fucking both score 25 points per game. You know what I mean? Like it's just, yeah. And I mean, yeah, there will be like some 5-7% of annoying fans that'll always say, but Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. And then Tatum fans will be like, fuck, you know what I mean? But it doesn't need to be that way. We don't always have to cater to the stupidest people in our society. You know what I mean? We can be better than that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like the one thing I would say about that is, Boston defensively is a very sound team, and I guess that's the dilemma here is that the Raptors aren't very good defensively, and we're trying to figure out how to make them better. I have a question for you. So,
yeah, this will have to be the final question. We got to move on. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No worries, man. Jacoby Walter, like, how would you compare him? Would you say he's better than RJ defensively, or at this point, or
yes, way better?
So, don't you think maybe having him instead of RJ with Gradey would be better? Would be better off lineup?
No, RJ Barrett is just so much better than him offensively right now. Like, yeah, like no way. Jacoby has to get so much better to jump RJ in the rotation. He's 2 years away at least. That's if everything goes beautifully for him, because his defense does give him a huge advantage. Like him and IQ as a backcourt is a dream. Scottie, Gradey, Jacoby, IQ, and Cooper Flag would be like a fucking fantastic team, because now you only have one defensive liability, you have a sort of weak defender, and you have 3 very good defenders to compensate for those weak defenders. That's how you do it. But look at the Boston Celtics. Look at how they're succeeding. They have no weak defenders. 0. That's the team you got to beat. OKC Thunder. Who's their weakest defender? Shea? He would be one of your best defenders. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you're competing against teams that have great defenders. Look at how San Antonio's building. Jeremy Sohan, good defender. Devin Vassell, I don't know. Wemby, generational cleanup guy. Stephon Castle, really good defender. The Raptors need to keep getting defenders. And I love what they've done in this draft, because they drafted all guys who have good defensive upside. All of them. Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling in. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Take care.
Cheers. Rue is complaining that he was waiting for a very long time. I apologize. Some of these calls have gone a little bit longer. The conversations have been good. I hope you guys have liked them so far. We do have Tetrahedron and Lane. Rue, I feel bad. If you want to call back, if you want to come on, you can definitely come on. You can jump the line for 5 minutes. You obviously had something you wanted to say about RJ. And yeah, if you want to come in, you can come in. Flavius Films, nice to see you, friend. I bought my Gradey Dick jersey the day it came on sale. Best decision I ever made. I'm sure it was, man. Awesome. Okay, let's get to Tetrahedron, and then we'll get to Lane. Tetrahedron, what's going on?
Oh, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you very much. So I kind of want to start with exposing my already fairly obvious ignorance. I had a very basic basketball question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I more or less understand what a 1 and 2 and 5 is, like the positions, but I can't for the life of me figure out what I'm supposed to expect from a 3 and a 4. Like they just seem like interchangeable almost to me. Like they just seem to do the same thing or variations of the same thing. Like I just can't figure it out.
Right. Okay, so I mean, a long time ago, that was a very different story. You know, in the 1990s, your 3 would be basically a corner spacer, wing slasher, and your 4 would be parked down at the nail or at the pinch post, and probably be like a mid-range, a type of scorer like a Charles Barkley or Charles Oakley, Karl Malone. Today, we've seen more of a hibernation between 3-4s. You're seeing a lot of guys who would typically play 3 in the 90s playing 4. So you're not really wrong to be a little confused between those two positions, because right now LeBron's playing 4, KD's playing 4. Those are all small forwards, right? So in a really very real way, there aren't a lot of pure power forwards in the NBA, and a lot of them actually play center now. So one could argue there are very few true centers in the league. Like there are some, obviously, Jonas Valanciunas, Jakob Poeltl, Zach Edey. These guys are true centers. But you look at guys who sometimes playing center, they don't look like centers, like Chet, Jaren Jackson Jr., Miles Turner. These guys would all be 4s back in the 90s, because they don't have like the weight to play center. So yeah. So I mean, really what's happened is we've gone from 2 bigs to 1 big necessarily, and in order to space the floor and to provide a little bit more positional versatility. But I do think that teams that win championships have been increasingly bigger. If you go back to the Toronto Raptors, they had Pascal Siakam, they had Serge Ibaka, they had Marc Gasol, big team. If you go to the Denver Nuggets, they had Aaron Gordon, they had Nikola Jokic, big team. You go to the Boston Celtics, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, big team, right? Generally, positional size and versatility is going to help you across the board. But yes, you are right to be a little confused. Yes.
Thank you for helping me out with that.
Sure.
The other thing is I don't understand what they're trying to get with I always forget his name. The point guard, our starting point guard.
Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't understand what they're trying to get with him. Like, are they trying to turn him to something they can trade?
Hang on 1 second. I just have to deal with one thing very quickly. Nele, I've been very, very tolerant of you this entire chat. You have basically done nothing but try to slander Scottie Barnes, literally the entire thing. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your agenda is. I can tell you very clearly you're a very sad person. You're a very miserable person, and trying to make a whole bunch of other people miserable who are just trying to talk about the game is not going to make your life any better, my friend. So I'm sorry. I don't like to censor people. I don't like to ban people, but you can go straight to fucking hell.
He's
Fuck off.
out of pocket.
All right, go ahead.
So Davion Mitchell, I don't understand what they're trying to get. I don't see how those minutes with Davion Mitchell aren't better spent on development of DJ Carton or Jamal Shead. Like if we're going to lose the game anyway, like, and I think Shead's already better personally. I mean, I'm not that really one to say, but I certainly like him better.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think there's a reason that Davion is playing. He's a contract. He's going to be dangled at the trade deadline. I can almost guarantee it. They want to give this a chance. They want to see what it looks like. He probably makes a few less mistakes than Jamal Shead. He's slightly more competent as a shooter right now than Jamal Shead. He's shown an ability to shoot 36%. He is the type of player that maybe a contender would want to pad as their third string point guard if things go bad at the deadline. So maybe, sweetening his value a little bit might not be the worst thing by starting him. It's also, I mentioned it in the last live. I don't know if you heard it, but he's like a leader. His effort, whether it is conducive to team success or not, is irrelevant. He's a good practice player, and he's older than a lot of the guys that you're suggesting play over him. And I'm assuming that the Raptors are probably hoping that Jamal Shead can learn a few things from Davion Mitchell as well. Yes, the natural talent of a DJ Carton or Jamal Shead vastly superior to a Davion Mitchell. Their basketball instincts are better than him. However, right now, he's probably not that much worse than either one. If not, he might be slightly better. It's honestly, if this is 2K, one of them is 68, one of them is 67, one of them is 66. Pick your poison. Anyways, Tetra Hedron, any final thoughts?
My only other thing was about Walter. Is like he didn't score, but
he did score. He scored 5 points.
No, but I mean, he didn't score at the rate that like you'd be like, wow, he's really a scorer. But like his shots he took were perfect. Like was this like his shot selection just seemed perfect to me.
Yeah, he takes everything in rhythm. And, he's going to shake off some of the nerves or whatever he was experiencing tonight. But I thought he competed. I thought he showed dog. I thought he showed smarts. And I thought Darko showed a lot of trust in him by putting him in. So I'm very excited to see that this is how Darko feels about him, that he would trust them with closing minute lineups. That is a huge, huge sign of trust for any young player. If you've ever played JV, when you get called to close a game, and it's a tight game or like 7-point game, and your coach is like, hey kid, that's telling you that your coach trusts you to make those free throws. That's telling your coach trusts you not to be a bonehead. Generally speaking, if you're a freshman, you're not doing that. So he's a freshman as freshman gets. He's the youngest player on the team other than Ulrich, and the fact that he got that call is everything you need to know. And the fact that he got it despite being 1-8 is even more impressive. I think he was 1-7 at that point. He might be 1-8. Doesn't matter. Darko was just trying to reward him. And honestly, he deserves so much praise tonight. I know he scored 5 points. The casual basketball observers are just not going to really gas him up. They're not going to say anything about him. But I was so committed to my film study being largely about him today because I thought what he did was so impressive. Anyways, Tetra Hedron, thanks a lot for calling in, man.
I just
appreciate
thought it was incredible. Thank you very much.
Yeah, much better conversation flow today. You worked on it. You're awesome. Thanks.
I'm trying. I'll try to do better still, but thank you very much for everything.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man. Cheers. Lane, what's going on?
OH.
IO, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Gradey Dick is a beast.
Right?
I mean, I remember a year ago, maybe it was a little, like 11 months ago or so, I called, and everyone was trashing Gradey, and you were like, well, what do you think about Gradey? I was like, he needs time. And you were like, I agree, 100%, he needs time. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look what belief does.
Dude, I was like, okay, so sometimes our memories fail us. So I was like, I know I never turned on him, but let me just go confirm. And I looked through every single live. There's this app where you can literally go through and search when you say a word, and it gives you every video you said the word. I searched through it. I didn't say one fucking negative thing about this guy.
Nope,
not once.
Never.
That entire thing. And I was like so proud of myself because I gotta tell you, like, I was flashing fucking Kobe Bryant, and Nele is calling in. Motherfucker, you think you getting on here? Get the hell out of here. Not a chance.
No, let him in.
And
let him in. Let's start him.
I mean,
you told the other guy to get a vasectomy the other night, so let's do part 2.
nah, get the fuck out of here. No, because one time I let one of these fucking people come on, they said the N-word, and one time,
Oh
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
no, no, valid,
They
valid,
could turn the
no.
camera on and flash. Like I remember this is one guy who's freaking out, twerking, dancing. Like I don't. This shit is real time. You know, I don't have anybody to like chase these people down, so I don't want to get demonetized for this shit. I
No,
don't know.
valid, very valid,
Nah.
very valid. You're
Yeah.
more of an adult than I am, so that's valid.
Am I more of an adult than somebody in this world? Holy shit, that's a massive compliment. Anyways, so the belief does go a long way. And then, you know, I was like comparing him to Dirk and Kobe and Nowitzki and sorry, Dirk, Kobe, KG, and looking at their first, you know, 25 games, 30 games, but people were losing their minds. They're like, Rob, Grady's so terrible, he can't shoot. And I'm just like, shut the hell up. Like, you don't like, I heard a story about Grady right after the draft. Actually, I heard the story about how he used to shoot in the dark.
Mm.
And that's when I knew. I'm like, one day this guy's going to be splashing like 50 points and people are going to wonder where the hell it came from, because like I've known a couple of good shooters in my life and they all did that too. This is the weirdest thing. Like they would shoot pitch dark. It's so hard to shoot a basketball pitch dark, you know? And there's certain things that you understand as a shooter. Like you understand how passing talent influences shot quality, right? I don't think
Yep.
Dennis Schroeder is that great a passer. People can gas him up all they want. I don't give a shit. You know, I don't think a lot of the players that Grady played with last year, I don't think Pascal Siakam's a great passer. I really don't. Like great passers like Chris Paul, Nikola Jokic, James Harden. Yo, if you're a shooter that plays with one of these guys, your percentage is going to skyrocket. That's why I'm so impressed with what Grady's doing, because he's doing it without Scottie. That's the most impressive thing. He's doing it without his best passer right now.
For sure. 100%.
Once that Scottie Grady connection comes and that screen, you know, dribble handoff shit, like Scottie is such a great screener. Oh my God. Grady's shots are going to get so easy.
And what makes me such a believer in him is he's not just a shooter. Mid-range, rim, like he is so smooth and he's fast too.
Bro, I was about to
Fast
lose
as
my
hell.
mind. I don't know what broadcast you get, but we get the stupid ass broadcast from TSN over here. And before the fucking broadcast, these people who allegedly watch him were comparing him to Kyle Korver. I'm like, did you watch Kyle Korver play basketball? This is nothing like this. Stop comparing them because they're white. Also, can we point to the irony that 3 of the whitest white shooters in the world played basketball in the same game, and one of them was so clearly better than the others and is
Yep.
so much younger. Grady's
Yep.
20. Austin Reed's like what, 26? Dalton Knecht's like what,
Yeah.
23? And Grady looked like he was classes above him, like almost to the point where like I feel like LeBron James is gonna like subtly just flash Grady highlights on his Instagram reel as like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the Lakers front office. Like, get me that one. Trade these 2 bums and get me that one. He's
I hope
great.
LeBron knows there's only one other dude other than him on that team I would trade Grady for, and it's Anthony Davis. So I mean, we can do AD for Grady, but if he's not willing to do that, then
That's how high you are on Grady, right?
oh, I'm so high on Grady.
How many? Okay, here's a moment of truth for you. I'm the Brooklyn Nets. I got the 3rd pick in the NBA draft. 3rd pick, 2025 NBA draft. I called ring ring.
I pick it up. Phone's in my ear. Yep.
I have the 3rd pick in the NBA draft. I want Gradey Dick. Going for it.
You just hear me slam my phone?
No, I did not hear you slam your phone.
Yeah, it got
Get that garbage out of here. You
it
like
got
Jack
slammed.
Armstrong? Get that garbage out of here. Okay, so 3rd pick, no go for Gradey Dick. You're that high on him.
I am that high on him.
Holy shit.
I would maybe we could discuss if it was a top 2 pick,
Okay.
but 3rd pick, no. 3rd pick, no. And here's my fear. Here's my fear, right? I think Giannis wants out of Milwaukee. Like that's extremely obvious. And Masai has chased Giannis like a high school kid having a crush on a girl for years. And here's my fear that you're going to see RJ and Grady get packaged for Giannis if he becomes available.
Damn. That's interesting.
I mean,
I don't have any strong reactions to it. Giannis is like one of the best players in the world.
I
He just
know.
turned 30, so I get it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. But like, would you do RJ, Grady, and next year's pick top 3 protected for Giannis? because the Bucks are kind of in a corner with it. If he's
No, because I hate the fit of Scottie and Giannis. I hate it. Like I
so
hate
do
it
I.
from a
I don't like
basketball
it.
synergy perspective. I'm like, bro, you already got your Giannis. Be patient. Wait a year. He'll get there. You know, like maybe he won't be as big as Giannis, but he's already a better shooter than Giannis. He's already way better passer than Giannis. And I don't want to see an offense that's spaced with Scottie and Giannis. Like it's just the weirdest offense I could ever imagine. Maybe I'm being stupid. Like Giannis is okay. So here's the thing. Giannis. Okay, so I did this thing in NBA 2K24 once where I traded for Giannis to the Raptors. I actually signed him to the Raptors when he was like 32 or 33. And for 5 years, I used him as like an 89 to 84 rated starting center. And he was fucking awesome. The next evolution of Giannis is actually as a center.
That's the only way I could see him fitting on this roster. And the only and I know it feels like it's kicking the dead horse talking about this Giannis talk, but he has gone on a media tour talking about this might be my last year on the Bucks. You know, if we don't perform right, I'm out. And it just subliminals. And that man uses subliminals all the time. And every time he uses a subliminal, he gets what he wants. Right. I honestly think that he wants out in Milwaukee. And I know the way Masai thinks about him, obviously, because we tanked the whole 2020 season because we didn't get him, right? Like that's the reason we did not spend money in free agencies because we were saving money for Giannis. Like we know Masai was willing to tank a season for that. I don't know. I really feel like that's a trade that they would make. And I feel like you'd see Yak leave too, because I agree with you. I think the next innovation of Giannis is as a center.
Let me just get to some super chats. We have some table that conversation for 1 second. Let me just get through these.
Yes,
So
sir.
just want to, I know I shouted this out earlier, but Recruiter Dude with a $10 super chat. Fun fact, with the exception of a home opener, Raps have covered the point spread every single game. That is 100% true. The homie Nick, I think that we absolutely are in the moral victory stage this year, Rob. If there was a season where competitive development losses against good teams are something to enjoy, then this is it. I agree. I mean, you're young. Why not? Dubs bestie, are the Cavs full gold? I answered this. No, they are not. I trust them. When RJ scores 40 points next game, send him a public apology. No. Sparkling with a super sticker. Appreciate it. As always. Christian Burton, please flag me in the comments if I'm saying that incorrectly. Gradey gives me Mike Miller vibes, but better. That's very interesting. Mike Miller, yes, I see what you're talking about. I think he can be better. I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, like I understand why you're making that comparison though. Noble Venom, been saying for years, been saying Scottie prefers to operate as an offensive engine similar to floor generals such as Chris Paul as opposed to being a predator wing like Kawhi. You know, the interesting thing about him is he can do Chris Paul stuff. Chris Paul can never do Scottie Barnes stuff. No disrespect to Chris Paul, but Scottie could be a predator wing if you need him to. And, you know, maybe for a fourth quarter, you do need him to. It's kind of the cool thing about Nikola Jokic. He can shapeshift. That's the cool thing about Jimmy Butler. He can also shapeshift. Right now, the Warriors are looking at maybe a second option for Steph Curry, maybe a win now. Jimmy Butler could be that, but he can also anchor your offense when Steph is out. You know, there's a lot of value in players like that. Johnny A saying, salute Rob. What are we doing? RE backup big for Pirtle options. No depth on the roster, it seems. My solution last live was Walker Kessler, but I do prefer someone who can shoot. So maybe you find that player in the draft or you wait for Ulrich to develop. But yeah. Anyways, you were talking about Giannis.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, to everyone for the super chats. I really appreciate this. Very generous support from this community. And, you know, thank you to all the callers. Yeah. Yes. So you were saying about Giannis.
It's not that I'm like 100% for the trade. You know, I think it's an interesting idea, but I think it's something that Masai would entertain for sure.
So, okay. So I think, I hope the ship has sailed on Giannis, right?
I hope so too.
Very different situation getting him when he was 25, 26. Very different situation getting him now that he's 30, because he is going to go into 70 million a year territory really soon, which is going to make building around him damn near impossible.
Yep.
And unlike Jokic, I don't think he's going to age as well as people think he is. I think he's going to be like Anthony Davis-ish, you know? Like, I think he'll be a top 5 player this year, top 10 player for the next 2 years, and then like a top 20 player. I don't see like any more MVP juice in him. He's been playing for a long time, right? I
Yep.
could be wrong. Maybe he's in the worst system ever, or maybe he's a part of why that system is so trash. I want to see this thing built through. Like one of the things that drives me so crazy about the Knicks, when they did that thing for Melo, or even the Clippers when they did this thing for Kawhi, is like you had a really good thing going,
Yep.
with Shea.
Yep.
And if you just seen it through, it might have really blossomed into something. You had picks, but you were impatient, so you wanted to go for the win now thing. I understand from an MLSE perspective, Giannis would be the biggest cash draw. Such a huge cash draw. Like your ticket prices would go up 250% overnight if Giannis Antetokounmpo was on this team, because he is such a huge star. There's a huge Greek community here. There's the African connection, Nigerian connection that, when he was on fucking the broadcast, I don't know if you got the Canadian broadcast or the, American broadcast of this, but Masai Ujiri was on justifying the Jakob pick. And he was like, yeah, but we picked him. That has to mean something. And I'm just like, bro, you're too sentimental. But now, like, you start to see it. You're like, oh, I get it. You saw Scottie when he was 16, you fell in love. You saw RJ when he was 9 years old, 10 years old, you fell in love. You see, or 12 years old or whatever the hell, Rowan Barrett brought him over, you fell in love. You wanted to get that guy. And now you see Giannis Antetokounmpo when he was a kid and you helped his parents immigrate to Greece. And now you're like, oh, that's the prophecy. I hope he doesn't get tunnel visioned about it. I do want to say, though, I think there are like a couple of teams that can beat the offer pretty easily. I think an offer around Jalen Williams from OKC could beat this. Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, and a dozen picks.
I don't know if it'd be I think it would be Wallace instead of Hartenstein. I think they would want
Jason
young guard
Wallace?
potential. Yeah, they would want guard potential because if Giannis is getting traded, Dame's getting traded too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So I mean, like, I'm not really sold that the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, they're a small market team. Selling your superstar, especially for Gradey and RJ, does not, like, I'm high on Gradey and RJ right now. They're splashing 60 points a game in the last 2 games. I don't think the Bucks see these guys as a centerpiece for Giannis, though. I gotta say, I don't see it.
No, I
Like-
hear you. I hear you. I'm just saying I think Masai will make a run at it, and I think that's a
Like-
potential package.
I
They
feel
don't.
like right now, Gradey and RJ would get you something closer to Trae Young.
And that's not something you want to touch.
And-
with a 10.5-foot pole.
I like Trae Young, but not next to Emmanuel Quigley and Scottie Barnes. But,
No.
like that level of talent, like it's not getting you a top 5 player, because top 5 player is going to require like a crazy generational type of prospect, which, I mean, we can argue, is Gradey generational? I don't know. He's going to be a really good player. I don't know if he's generational.
He's going to end up being
RJ is
top 6
still-
player from his draft class. I mean, that, in my
Dude,
opinion.
he's already leading his draft class by a whopping mile in terms of
Exactly.
scoring.
Exactly. And there's maybe 3 guys from his draft class I would trade Gradey out for at this point, potential wise.
Wemby, number 1. Who's number 2?
Wemby, Chet, and Koulibaly.
Chet was the previous draft class.
Oh, yeah, okay. Never mind then. Then 2. My bad. I forgot he was a rookie last year because he was hurt.
Okay, so you're telling me right now you would not trade him for Jarris Walker, which I agree with. You would not trade him for Jordan Hawkins, which I agree with. You would not trade him for Scoot Henderson?
No. Hell no.
Okay. You would not trade him for Anthony Black?
No.
You would not trade him for Amen Thompson?
No.
How many games of Amen Thompson have you watched?
A lot. I've actually watched both the Thompson brothers a lot because Detroit's close, so we get those games. And then my brother's a Rockets fan, so I watch Rockets games with him sometimes. And
Damn. And
yeah.
obviously, if you're saying no to Amen, you'd be saying no to SR.
no, yeah.
What? Okay, I'll give you one that should make you think a little bit. Actually, I'll give you 2 that should make you think: Cason Wallace and Derek Lively.
Lively makes me think. I'm no on Wallace just because I believe in Gradey as a 3-level scorer. I like Wallace a lot. Like, this isn't me saying he's a bad player. Grady's got 6 inches on him and potential 3-level scoring and that wingspan. And Gradey doesn't need the ball not that Casey needs the ball to be successful, but like Grady's a guy who's 6'8" and can play off ball and can create and can rebound and can play on ball. Like, you know what I mean? And Casey's just shorter. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the truth. He's a hell of a player. He's just shorter. Lively makes you think, but is Lively great? He's really talented, but is he putting up the numbers he is right now because he's playing in a system offense around Luka and Kyrie,
Mhm.
or you know what I mean? Like, is it really true? Because like, look at Daniel Gafford. Look at the stats that PJ Washington's putting up on that team, right? Like, these are guys who couldn't do it on other teams, and all of a sudden they get around the gravity of Luka and Kyrie, and they're really good basketball players.
Yeah. What about Brandon Miller?
Mm,
That's where I'm thinking about.
yeah, I forgot about Brandon Miller. Okay, so I was
Okay.
right. There's
So,
three.
so okay. So let's say there's Wemby, Brandon Miller, Derek Lively is close. Bilal Coulibaly.
I would say Koulibaly and Grady are on the same level. I would say Lively's just a step below. So I would be like tied
Step
for
below, bro. I
a
mean, do
step
you
below
watch the
Grady.
NBA playoffs? Derek Lively's amazing, bro.
He is, but I believe Grady can just be. I believe Grady's going to be better as a
Well,
player.
if your justification over Case and Wallace's size, then how does a switchable big who can block shots, shoot threes, and pass in the short and roll not move you? He would. I actually do believe that Derek Lively would blossom into like the best center in the East when Joel Embiid is ready to go. You would have like his synergy with Scottie is even like it's next level, man. Like okay, so this is no shade to Grady. I'm just being 100% honest and transparent as I always am on this channel.
For
I
sure.
would say if the redraft was done as follows, I think I already had Bilal Coulibaly as high as 3 during my mock drafts, and people thought I was fucking nuts. I love Bilal, so I'm gonna say Wemby.
Yep.
I'm gonna put Bilal above Brandon Miller. People can call me crazy. I don't give a shit. Brandon Miller probably 3rd. I would say Derek Lively is 4th.
And Grady.
And Grady's on the same level as Case and Wallace to me. So he's the top 6. I would put Anthony Black close, not edging up. If there, who are the other players in that draft class? Scoot Henderson, I'm not out on him. I still think he has the physical tools to be really good. I think Jordan Hawkins is really good. It's a really good draft class. It's a phenomenal draft class.
Yeah,
I'm
solid.
amazed. But I remember like before the draft, we when the Raptors did not, move up in the draft, they ended up at 13th. I remember doing this entire live about like all the 13th overall picks. And it was like it was really meant to be positive juju, And it was talking about Donovan Mitchell, it was talking about Devin Booker, it was talking about, Kobe Bryant. Like there was a lot of great players picked at 13th. Could Grady be one of those players? Damn. These last 2 games make you think though. They really do.
His confidence, the way he carries himself, he never gets too high, never gets too low. Like he hits a big 3, he runs down on the other end, right? Like he's not sitting there celebrating. Like he misses a 3, he runs down on the other end. Like he is just consistent as a player, like very, very level headed. He was that way last year too when he was struggling. Like you wouldn't tell that he was struggling by his face or his body language, other than the fact that the shots weren't going in, other than the fact that like he looked lost out there when he was struggling, right? He never let it affect him mentally, and having high mental fortitude, I mean, that's a tool that you can't teach. And it's a tool that he has, and
I agree.
that's why I'm so high on Grady, because as a coach myself, like when I look at players, like I want to see how you act after you mess up, like after you after you make an error, after you strike out, like how are you going to be, right? Are you going to be the same dude coming back to the dugout lifting your teammates up, or are you going to put your head down and woe is me? And Grady doesn't have that woe is me in him. He is a dog where he's just going to keep going, keep fighting through. Like he kept shooting tonight. Like, he started off cold as hell tonight. He just kept shooting.
He was 1 for 4 to start, and then he just warmed up. Yeah, he just kept going.
shooting.
And the fact that he can take 26 shots in a game and not get tired, the way he moves, his conditioning might be the best on the team. He might be the best conditioned athlete on the team. I'm not joking. The relentless motion. And I understand his task on defense is not necessarily as hard as some other players, but he's trying on defense. He's competing. He is competing. We're seeing deflections, we're seeing effort, we're seeing communication. He just can't hang. Right now, he just can't hang. I don't know if that's ever going to change. Does not project to be a great defender. That is where I draw the line on the Bilal Coulibaly stuff, because I think Bilal could be a solid 2-way player. I also completely forgot about Amen Thompson and Asar Thompson. Am I crazy? Okay. It's a very good draft.
Yes.
I have to say the upside on Amen is still greater than the upside on Grady, largely because he has the potential to be like a first team all defensive player and he's a better playmaker. However, the fact that we are even currently having conversations about Gradey and Amen Thompson and Gradey and Derek Lively is a huge testament because Gradey went after all those guys,
Agreed.
right?
Oh,
So-
or below Koulibaly. Like Koulibaly was probably, I mean, Wemby came into the league raw, like damn good, but raw. Like he looks like an unchiseled diamond still. Like this dude has so much potential in him, right? Koulibaly was kind of the same way. It came in very raw. Like Gradey, raw. But the fact that we're having the discussion where it's like he's a top 6 player in this draft class right now is insane. Like that's
you know what's funny? I had Jordan Hawkins 5th on my board.
he's
and
damn good.
A lot of the players that I had high on my board are really good. I don't think I'm upset about anybody. I think maybe I'm wrong. I am definitely wrong about having Brandon Miller 6th on my board. That was probably wrong. No, it's definitely wrong. I think I'm really high on Jarris Walker, but he's not getting run in Indiana, right? I just think I don't want to overreact to a 2-game sample size, bro. Like the two things are very true. Number one, Charlotte and the Lakers perimeter defenders are trash, like super trash. I've seen, what was his name? He was another white guy. He played for Toronto. His name was Luke. It was not Luke Ridnour. It was Luke something. Luke Babbitt. Yo, I'm having like Alzheimer's today. Someone in the chat help me. It was a Luke something. Luke, white guy, who played for the Raptors, who had 30 points. I think his name was Luke. But anyways, my point is, like, this could all fall apart in a week, and he could go on an extended cold streak, and the defense is going to be more glaring, and we'll be like looking back on this, like, did you really say he's better than Brandon Miller? Like, are you fucking crazy? Someone's saying Luke Kennard. It was not Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard's never played for the Toronto Raptors. I could be wrong. Maybe
Unfortunately, Kennard has not played for the Toronto Raptors. I would have loved to have that guy 2 years ago.
Luke Jackson. There we go. Thank you, Samuel Lane. It is Luke Jackson. Luke Jackson did play for the Toronto Raptors, and he did have a major explosion, like 30 points at some point. I mean, Malachi Flynn had 50 points last year. Shooters can get hot. In the NBA currently, shooters can get hot. Also, increased pace, increased scores. 30 points, not what it used to be, right? This is like 25 points back in the day. So I'm going to trust Derek Lively's entire work in Dallas. Like, he was so impressive. Like, he was an NBA level defender. He was better than Daniel Gafford as a rookie. He was 19 years old last year. I have to trust that. I have to trust that. Until Gradey shows me more, I have to trust that. So I'm going to say as high as top 8. He goes top 7, top 8. But I got to give the edge to guys who have the superior athleticism and the superior size. He's in Cason Wallace talks with me, and that's way higher than I thought he'd ever be, because not ever, but like that's higher than I thought he'd be at this point in his career, because Cason is obviously way more physically developed than him. Amen is more physically developed than him. All these guys are more physically developed than him, except for Wemby. All of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is he going to be, and what is Wemby going to be? If you told me Gradey ends up being the second best player in this draft class, I wouldn't react at all. I wouldn't react at all. I'd say something crazy bad happened for everybody else, but I wouldn't be like, oh, that's nuts. You know?
Second best. I mean, I hope
he'd
so.
have to clear them all.
He'd
have to clear everybody. He'd have to basically become Steph Curry to do that, because even Steph Curry ain't going to be better than the fully realized version of Victor Wembanyama. But yeah, I mean, shoot, man. Like, I mean, you're in the perfect system. You're with the perfect coach. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. This is about as optimistic as I've ever been as a Raptor fan. Other than maybe 2001, watching Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady get bounced by the New York Knicks in the first round, thinking, oh, what could be? This is about as optimistic as I've ever been.
For sure. Just everyone's gotten better. Like, if you would have told me RJ would have taken this leap, like, people got to realize, like, this is his 3rd game of the year. Like, he didn't come back. Like, he came back, 4 games in? He didn't have time to warm up because Scottie got hurt. Like, he had to hit the ground running. Like,
Right.
he had to hit the ground running. Like, he's not even properly conditioned yet.
That's true. That's the scary part. He's processing the game so much better, and the spacing is helping him, and all that motion is allowing these little gaps. You know, can you imagine what RJ is going to look like with Gradey and Kelly on the court together, or Gradey, Kelly plus IQ on the court together? Holy crap. How are you supposed to stop this? It's you know, again, everything I said in the preseason, everything I said in the summer was this team's too good to tank. Now they're 1-5, and people are telling me I'm stupid. But I'm like, are you watching the games? Are you watching the games? Are you watching how people, you know, there's like every single time I go on the panel, people are like, oh, you're so stupid. You told us to go watch Raptor games and now y'all are losing. And it's like, are you watching how we're losing? Are you watching how we're losing? You know, are you watching these games? Like the Raptors are knocking on the door, man.
Yep.
And it just makes me think, on the one hand, I really, really want Scottie to come back and I want this team to go on a beastly run in the second half and like reel off like a 20 out of 25 game type of thing. And they're scoring like 140 points per game. And people are like, oh my God, I don't know how this happened. And everyone's rolling and everyone's healthy and everyone's good. But then there's another part of me that's just like, man, if you added Cooper Flag to this, you become OKC East. You know, like it just changes the equation so easily because he's so cheap. He's so good, but he's so cheap. Same thing for Ace Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with competitive. If you lose how you lose tonight, you lose how you lost against Charlotte, you lose how you lost against Denver. Sign me up.
Do you realize we're the 30th ranked defense in the league?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
It does feel like it to me. That's interesting that you don't feel that. Why do you not feel that way?
I don't feel that because they play with intensity and energy, right? It's not laziness, right? So it's not the fact that I'm looking past that we're the 30th best defense. They're 30th ranked.
Did you watch my film breakdown?
I have not.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna look at a couple plays together where you can see just how bad the defense is.
Oh no, I know it's bad, but they're showing effort, and that says something.
Oh hell yes, they are showing effort. But I'm saying like, okay, look, okay. Did you catch this play while you were watching? This is Davion Mitchell and how he. Okay.
Oh, you talking about they just left him wide open, floater right there?
Have you ever seen a player guarded like this in the NBA? I have never seen it in my life. I have never seen a play. Ben Simmons is not guarded like this. Nobody in the history of the NBA has ever been as unguarded as Davion Mitchell is on this play right now. They look like Austin Reeves looks like he's like taking a break. You know, Anthony Davis is like, what are you gonna do? Like, I can't believe this happened. But this, like the defense, the backline communication, some of the pressure is just, it's creating all sorts of like crazy stuff. Like, look at this play with Jamal Shead, right? Like there's no communication here. And like Jamal Shead battles this entire possession. He battles early. He does what they ask him to do. But at some point, you got a scram switch here, a big, but you got Chris Boucher off the screen, Jakob Poeltl off the screen, and neither one of them come down to help him and tag him out. Even Gradey would be a better matchup here where they could switch, but they're not doing it. And then boom, this is what happens. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's every time it's like this. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no. I agree. But they're hustling and the effort is there. It's not
okay. This is effort, right? Watch this. What the fuck is this?
It's Boucherism.
Okay, it's Boucherism, but it looks active. You know, it looks like, hey, you're getting your steps in, you know, but it's like the wrong steps. So like how, like, this is why you're the 30th ranked defense. You blow by after blow by, back cut after back cut. Like there are high school coaches who could dissect the shit out of this defense. Yep. And I'm not saying that as a criticism of Darko or his defense. Is obviously by design. He told us mig. The second I heard that, I was like, oh, tank. That's translation for tank. You know, because if you're going to ask Davion Mitchell to pressure up, you're not going to switch. You're not going to zone up. You're not going to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I saw like maybe a couple of helps, like where maybe like Davion is stuck on LeBron and then Gradey is going to like just soft double. It's like, bro, like that's LeBron on Davion Mitchell. What are we doing here? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you have that. I don't know if you. I don't want to say you don't have the right pieces yet, but I don't know if the pieces are matured enough yet. Like obviously, Mogbo is going to be your defensive anchor here in the next 2 years, right? Like that's what you're banking on at this point. He's going to be your defensive anchor, whether it's off the bench or alongside Scottie. Him and Scottie as your defensive anchors is going to be beautiful. You just don't have the experience yet to make that happen, and it also sucks that. I mean, you're missing Scottie, right? You're missing IQ, even though IQ's not a plus defender. You're missing Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown's a good defender. You're missing
a pretty okay defender, maybe, if he doesn't have to do so much offensively. Because the thing is, like, Darko is clearly challenging all of his players to play better defense, right? Like, basically by forcing them into these horrible situations where they have to guard or they're going to look like ass, he's not designing anything to help them, right? He's not helping them at all. He's basically designed a defense to make them look as bad as humanly possible defensively, but to develop the reps to be better defensively in the future, if that makes sense. Because I mean, right now, if this is like something you would do in high school, like this is something actually what our high school coach did once, where he said no doubles, you can't double, so you have to guard your man straight up, no doubling. And it was just like, okay, well, what if I get cross matched on like a 6'6" wing? And he's like, tough shit, like fucking compete. And I was like, oh god, if this happens on Javon Shepherd, I am really fucked. So my point being that I get it. I get what they're doing. Eventually, they will be better defensively for this. People don't see it right now. They see 30th ranked defense, but I think in the second half of the season, they could push for 20th, and maybe 20th is about as good as you can be with this personnel. You just don't have great defenders.
Yeah, I'm just happy it doesn't feel like it's the worst defense in the NBA. You know, it does. I'm just happy it doesn't feel like it
because they're getting their steps in.
Well, I feel like a lot of the time, for at least, you know, when we get beat really early in the clock, but when we go deep into possessions, I feel like we do a lot of the right things, and that's positive. I mean, maybe I am just so tainted from the second half of last season and having to watch that brand of basketball that this just looks so much better, but it does.
It does. But like, you know, if you've ever been at the park, you play basketball, right? Occasionally. You ever be at the park and this guy just comes up to you and he's like, he's doing all this shit. And you're just like, are you stupid? Like, I'm just going to shoot over you right now. Like you're doing all this activity for absolutely bullshit, nothing, you know, or those guys who like, they get like really, really hype about it. And they're folding up their shorts and they're like lacing up their shoes. And you're just like, what are you doing? I'm just going to rise over you. Like, what are we doing here? Like no amount of bravado and hype and activity of your hands is going to change the fact that I'm just going to get 2 steps past you and fucking like blow past you at the rim. And you got no help behind you, you know, like, so to some extent, it's like, I get it. You're like developing lateral quickness, I guess. I don't know. Testing lateral quickness. You know, I don't know if this can be developed though. But I will tell you that I do think the defensive focus can make you a better defender. Because at one time I attended a camp with Kevin O'Neal. He's a Raptors coach in 2004. And I attended a camp with my boy and we went there. And I got to tell you, like Kevin O'Neal like hated how I took charges. So he like shoved me. And then he's just like, no, you do it to me. And I'm just like, you're old. But he's like, no, you do it to me. He's like, you get into me. And he's like, yeah, you got to hold your position like this. And he's like, you got to get in your stance like this. That's what I'm always telling Vince. And he doesn't fucking do it. Kevin O'Neal became instantly like one of my favorite coaches ever because of that. But that day when we went to the park, oh boy. Like people are like, what happened to you, bro? Did you shock your legs or something? Like, did you been wearing ankle weights the whole time? Like I got really into it defensively. It was not long lived. I went back to being a pretty like ass defender in a couple of weeks, but it was inspirational. You know, it really motivated me to defend. It takes a lot of cardio to defend and a lot of physical skills. I think. Do you think RJ Barrett has the physical tools to be a good defender? Just as someone who understands the athletic, you know, profile.
For sure. I think so. I do.
His flat-footedness doesn't bother you.
It does.
Then how is he going to be
a rim protector? I'm sorry.
He can't be a rim protector.
No, he can't be a rim protector, but I think his perimeter defense, and I think he's smart, very basketball smart. I think it's something where someone needs to get in his ear and fix, right? He is very flat-footed, but I think him on the perimeter, him as a help defender, him as a weak side defender has a lot of potential. Like tonight, there was a play, I can't exactly pinpoint it, but there was a play where he deflected a ball from LeBron. He came from behind him on his weak side and like deflected a ball from him, and like it was like a pseudo double team, and it was like the potential is there, like the IQ is there, like he has it. He has it. He just needs to put it all together. And is that part of him being 23 years old? Yeah. Is another part of it probably the fact that he's always
not 23 anymore.
24, my bad. Is a part of it that he's always been a superstar talent, best player, second best player on the team. And up until the NBA, no one's taught him how to do it right because he's just been that good. Like you can't tell him nothing.
I
Probably.
don't think that's true. They tried to they tried to make him into a 3-and-D wing in New York, and it failed miserably for 2 straight years. He wasn't the best player in New York. He wasn't the second best player in New York.
No,
He
but
was
what's that
he
coaching
was
in?
at best the third best player, and at
Well,
worst
I
the
mean,
fifth best player.
before the NBA. I'm talking like high school and college.
That's fair, but I mean,
But I mean, like, what's the coaching like in New York too? Right? I mean, like, I feel like everyone.
Tibbs.
I feel like exactly, but I feel like everyone that leaves there has nothing but negativity to say about it. I mean, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I don't know.
I've
I don't
heard
think there's much development happening.
hmm.
I think it's kind of you get them as they are, and if they don't improve, they don't improve, and it kind of is what it is.
I mean, it's funny. People say RJ is improving so much because he's in Toronto, he's home, et cetera, et cetera. Every Knicks fan, I have, a lot of family back in New York, and they always say like, "Oh, how's that bum doing?" And I'm like, "Well, the bum is actually doing really well. Thanks for asking." And they'd be like, "Oh, he couldn't fucking guard anything for us. He's fucking couldn't guard a cup of coffee." It's just they're so angry. They're still so angry at him because they spent the top 3 pick. Like I feel like they talk about RJ the way we used to talk about Andrea Bargnani. Well, I never talked about Andrea, but like the way Raptor fans used to talk about Andrea, like they thought he was lazy, they thought he had work ethic issues, they thought all the same shit. And I just wonder if there was just like I don't know, maybe like it's hard to play next to Jalen Brunson at times. Maybe Darko Rajakovic is that good at development coach. Maybe Jama Malala is that good at development. Maybe home cooking is that much, or maybe that's just the nature of being 23 years old because he was 23 when he joined us last year and he just got better.
I
don't
buy
know.
into all those. I buy into each
No.
and every single one of those.
But he has participated in a decent defense in New York. It is worth noting. And Jalen Brunson is no one's idea of a great defender. So I do believe that the Raptors have the personnel to be a top 18, 17, 16 defense. Scottie's a really good defender. Jacoby's a good defender. Mogbo's a good defender. Gradey's going to be passable at some point, but not great.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way, right? I think RJ Barrett has potential to be in. When I say this, listen to what I'm saying, please, because you're going to blow up. I feel like he has potential to be a better fit than DeMar ever was. And I think that's what gives him the pass over DeMar, because I feel like he gets a lot of comparisons in terms of his role on the team to a DeMar, right? Like empty calories kind of score and nothing
he scores
else.
in such different ways.
And that's what I'm saying. He scores in such different ways. He shoots a 3. If he can shoot consistently at 38%, holy shit.
I hear you.
Holy shit.
And I hear you. And a lot of it is catch and shoot, which is incredible. It's not self-generated. Some of it's self-generated, which is awesome too. But like I like the catch and shoot stuff a lot. I think the difference with DeMar and Joe Johnson and Carmelo Anthony and guys like that is like they can do it from a standstill without a head start. Whereas he almost needs a dribble handoff to do it, right? But once he turns that corner, he's shredding your defense. I want to continue seeing this against good defenses. I want to see this against a larger sample size. I want to see the best and worst of him, right? Because, if we had stopped the season last year at 20 games, Scottie's like the best player in Raptors history. You know what I mean? Splashing threes, whatever. Then we saw the regression. Then we saw, defensive only Scottie. We see different versions. So 2-3 games, very small sample size. I want to see more. But if he continues shooting this well from 3, especially on the catch and shoot stuff, if he continues initiating playmaking this well, if he becomes slightly competent on defense, then I gotta say I think he has a very bright future in Toronto. Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like he needs to be the sacrificial lamb per se, or a piece that. I mean, he's the most extendable piece out of all your major pieces, obviously, and it's always going to be that way. But I don't think he needs
I
to.
think Yak is more expendable, to be honest.
I don't know if I count Yak as one of your major pieces.
Hmm.
Like for the future, in 5 years down the road, I don't see Yak being on this team, but I could easily see RJ being on this team. That's kind of what I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I likened it in the earlier conversation to the Boston Celtics, right? Like the Boston Celtics, like they were told for years, split up Tatum and Brown, and they won a championship, but they didn't actually deplete the talent around them. Actually, they upgraded it because they realized what a lot of people don't, which is in a movement offense or an egalitarian offense with a selfless superstar, you actually need more offense, not less. You know,
Exactly.
now the difference between obviously the Celtics 5-6, core 6, core 7 actually. I want to include Peyton Pritchard in there, give him some love. Their core 7, actually giving Sam Hauser in their core 8 is they are almost all above average defenders, all of them. That's where you start getting into trouble when you start building around Emmanuel Quickley, Gradey Dick, RJ Barrett as 3 of your major dynamo pieces that have to play 30 plus minutes apiece. All of them cannot be sinking defensively. 1 or 2 of them have to get way better. They have to get way better.
For sure. And that's where I have hope, because look at the guys on the Celtics ages. Look at their maturity, right? Look how good of defenders they were at.
They were always great defenders. Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum was a great defender out of the box. He was a really good defender.
At 19
Drew Holiday was
19 through 22 is a good defender for the Celtics.
He wasn't as good as he is today.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Always okay, I'm gonna say this right now, just no hate. Jason Tatum was a better defender at 17 than RJ Barrett has ever been in his life. 17, 18. They both went to Duke. I'm not comparing apples and oranges here. Jason Tatum has always had the physical tools to be a much better defender. And currently, I would estimate that he is around an 87th percentile defender. He does not have a lot of holes on defense. I have seen him switch very competently down to a big and a guard. He is very versatile. He shares a lot in common with Scottie Barnes defensively. He's just not nearly as loud and active about it. Jaylen Brown, however, has kind of ebbs and flows defensively. Derek White's always been a good defender. Kristaps Porzingis has always been a good defender. Al Horford has always been a good defender. If you watch him back in Florida, he was a great defender.
I watched him back in Florida. Trust me, I saw that.
So these are all great defenders. They didn't become great defenders. So if you could think of a player that started out for the first 4 years as not a good defender and became a good defender, I would love to hear it. Who is that player?
It's a great question.
Trae Young was a pylon, remains a pylon. Damian Lillard, pylon, remains a pylon. Luka, pylon, still a pylon. Embiid, great defender, became a great defender. Giannis, great defender, remained a great defender. It doesn't change.
Could we maybe say that his defensive development could take the same track as like a Julius Randle?
Julius Randle is a terrible defender.
He's a lot more competent now than he was at 22, 23.
That's very fair. That's very fair. He participates, but he does the same stupid shit that Chris Boucher does, which is he takes his steps, right? Like today, we're watching this video where all the Raptors on social, they're reading their 2K scores. So interesting. Bro, the second Chris Boucher opened up 37 passing and he didn't know it was him, I was like, bro, you got to be kidding me. That's so obviously you. He was shocked that his defensive, whatever was so low. I think his defense was very low. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't guess Chris Boucher. People were very surprised by that. But as someone who's actually watching these games, not that I ever want to give shout out to 2K rankings for being right, but they're right about him. They're 100% right about him. His defense is massively overblown. He's very active. He does crash the glass. He's very, he gives you a big hustle block and, Jack Armstrong loses his mind bonjour, whatever. But the truth is 85% of the time he's lost. You can't have that.
No, 100%. I love Boucher. I love the story. But
oh yeah, 100%. Me too. I love late bloomers. It's great.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready to be done with.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, he was really mad the last time I didn't tweet at him either. I just wrote something about him where it's basically commenting on a rough stretch. And he came back at me. He's like, man, some of y'all are so ready for me to be gone. It's like, bro, it's nothing personal. It's just you have really, really bad shot selection and you make really dumb decisions on defense and it's really hard. And then you got, Darko Rajakovic saying, oh, I treat him like my rookies. And people are really mad at Darko for that. And it's like, bro, that's where he's at. I guarantee you Jacoby Walter understands defense right now a lot better than Chris Boucher. I'll guarantee it.
Yep.
So, anyways.
Yeah,
any final thoughts, man?
Yeah, for sure. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it rolling. No more new injuries.
Yeah, new injuries would be terrible. So yeah, just keep it going.
Keep it rolling.
Protect the Dick, protect the Barrett, protect the Yak, protect them all. Protect them all. And definitely protect Jacoby and Jonathan Mogbo because this season is so much more exciting because of them.
So much more back tomorrow. Oh my God. I just remembered DeMar's back tomorrow.
DeMar DeRozan?
Yeah,
Yes. Vince Carter night tomorrow.
it
It's
is
going to be
Vince
really
Carter
fun.
night tomorrow. How have I not realized that till now? It's crazy.
Yeah. I had issues with it being against Sacramento. I didn't want it to be against Sacramento, but
Really? Why not? Not that I want to take much more time. I'm curious.
why Sacramento? Why the fuck is it Sacramento?
Who did you? Is it? I mean, maybe because of DeMar. I don't know, but who did you want it to be against? If you could pick.
Maybe against the Nets as a reconciliation. We traded him to the Nets. We do it against the Nets. The Nets are like a terrible team that nobody wants to watch, so now they have to watch them. I mean, MLSC, if you're watching, hire me. I have great ideas sometimes. I even had the idea to put all the Siakam jerseys in the stands when Pascal Siakam came back, and then someone took credit for that shit. Maybe they were going to do it in the first place. I don't know. I listened to a YouTuber with less than 1,000 subscribers the other day who is notoriously kind of called me out, and he was just like responding to the chat, and he said, "They're all watching us. The broadcasters are watching us. The management's watching us." And I was just like, bro, immediately that's more views than you have. So I don't want to sound delusional when I say this, obviously. But you put things out in the world, right? The second Pascal Siakam that said that thing about like looking around and seeing his jerseys, I was like, wouldn't it be the coolest thing? And I wrote it on Twitter. I was like, wouldn't it be the coolest thing? Dear MLSC, wouldn't it be the coolest thing to put jerseys in the stands to give out free jerseys so everyone has a Siakam jersey? And then they did it. I don't know.
Great idea. Speaking of, did you see his Halloween costume? It was cool as hell.
The Andre 3000? Yeah, it was really cool. It's
No,
really cool.
He kills it every single year, man.
That guy is the goat of Halloween. And did you see Scottie's Halloween costume?
I did. If subtle,
Sad.
there's a TikTok trend right now called subtle foreshadowing, and I'm ready for somebody to make a video of that. And
I don't want anyone on TikTok to even touch Scottie Barnes' video because literally that comment section is going to be the worst comment section in the history of the world. Okay. I hate the internet. Like I hate the internet when it comes to Scottie Barnes. He is like the most polarizing figure in internet history. Like he might be more polarizing on the internet than Donald Trump. Like it's the weirdest shit. Right? One positive thing about Scottie is like 85 fucking kids in the chat. He'll never beat the allegations, and it's like, oh my god, like what the fuck?
Scottie's working at McDonald's next. You heard it first right here with Penn State basketball. He's going to McDonald's to work.
Oh yeah. All right, man. Take care.
Yes.
Have a good one. Peace.
Yes, sir. You have a great night.
Good night. All right. That was an awesome live. I love the energy. I love the middle finger to the guy that we booted. That was super cool. To anyone who thinks that that's unprofessional, I don't care. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was a fun game. This was an awesome game to watch. There wasn't a lot of highs in the beginning other than Jacoby checking in, Jonathan Mogbo checking in. I did have some concerns about starting out with Ochai against LeBron and starting out small against a team that you're already giving up so many points. Like you really want to start Ochai, but I understand the decision because you need his spacing. And it's just like right now, it feels like we're doing a hell of a lot to compensate for Davion Mitchell's lack of shooting. He had 2 points heading into the fourth quarter. He was really bad tonight. You're going to look at the box score and you're going to see 10 points. Just like the other game, you're going to see 10 points. You're going to see a couple big threes. And you're going to like overreact to it, and that's fine. I'm wishing well for Davion. I'm wishing well for all these players. I'm wishing well for Chris Boucher. I hope Chris Boucher has a crazy run where, he grabs 15 rebounds the next game and really helps the team. It's cool. As I said before the season, I don't really care about wins and losses. I care about development, and the development is showing. Gradey looks incredible. Can he keep it up? Can he keep going? He went from 25 to 30 to 31. Can we see a 35-point game from Gradey? Are we going to see a 50-point game from Gradey? Let me know when this video goes live. We're going to see a 50-point game from Gradey. That would be really, really cool. Is Gradey going to score 50 points? That's my question to the chat when you go thing. Nadeem C with a super chat here. I really appreciate this. Y'all have been very, very generous with the super chats. Welcome to November. I'll let you know that October was our second best month ever monetarily. So thank you for all the support you've been giving us on this platform, but also thank you for all the support you've been giving us on X and on Instagram. We have been growing very fast on all these platforms, and I'm very, very deeply appreciative because I know that none of this growth is happening without you guys. We're coming out to these lives every night, to the callers, Thank you to the first-time callers. It was really awesome. I'm not trying to make this sound like an Oscar speech, but I am very, very deeply humbled and very grateful to this community for all that you guys do for me and for allowing me to do something that I love so much for a living. It's really cool. I'll talk to you guys later. I will see you guys tomorrow. Vince Carter night. I'll probably do a live or at least a video tribute to Vince Carter tomorrow. To those of you who know me, like you know me off camera, you know how long I've pushed for reconciliation for Vince Carter. I've penned letters, I've written articles, I blasted forums. I didn't really have a platform like this, 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And I have stated over 50 times to anyone who would listen that one of the biggest reasons for this channel existing is because as a kid, as a teenager, I watched Vince Carter get run out of the city, maligned, slandered, and nobody spoke up for him. I mean, very few people ever could, because every time you tried to, there was TSN, there was Sportsnet, there was Grange, there was Doug Smith, there was all these people trying to tell you that he quit on the team, that he was an asshole and whatever. I hope to those of you who love him, tomorrow is an awesome day for you. It's going to be an awesome day for me. I'm very, very happy. I hope you wear your 15s very proudly. I hope you kept it. I hope you didn't burn it. To those of you who hate him, let it go. I hope you can let it go. I hope it can be a peaceful day for you, but I respect why you feel the way you feel. It's very, very hard to change your mind. And it's the same theme with RJ Barrett, Gradey Dick, Scottie Barnes. Some of us made up our minds a long time ago about these prospects, and they're showing us something new today, and we just need to be able to change. Recipe for a great life. I was reading a book today. I'll talk about it more at some point when we're a little bit, deeper into the season. But I'll talk about this book at some point. They say one of the greatest recipes for a horrible life is a fixed mindset. So adapt or die. Talk to you guys later. Mel saying Vince Carter forever. That might be one of the first comments that you've made all night that I really agree with. Talk to you guys later. Bye.